everybody, and welcome back. We're here for our top 16 of round 3 of the Drift Masters European Championship. My goodness, we have had it all this morning with our top 32 battles. Thankfully, the sun has decided to come back out as we had a little rain shower earlier for our top 32, and that really shook up the battles. But the good thing is, our top championship contenders are all still in the mix. But we had a little casualty. Adam Zalewski, unfortunately, just couldn't get to grips with that patchy track and ended up going out. But it is going to shape up for some serious battles. We have some old and new rivalries, but do you know what's going to happen? We're going to all find out this afternoon. Dave, this is going to be a big one.
Absolutely, Becky. I'm very excited because we're at the halfway point of the season now. This is where you start to look at who's going to be in the championship fold. Peter Wiańczek currently looks like he's the man in control, but he wasn't super confident in his top 32 battle. He goes up with a bit of a rivalry against Felix Lindvall later on in the top 16. Big casualty, though, as Becky mentioned, was Adam Zalewski. Big understeer on the first corner, made a driver error, and Benediktas Čerba, who's had a woeful start to the season with accidents and poor finishes, takes down one of the biggest names in the game. He'll be feeling confident going into that top 16. Zalewski will have to wait until the next round to get back in the mix. And this is the man everyone's watching, Felix Lindvall. He got a big hit here from Yunsu in the top 32. Collision between both cars, suspension damage for the front of Yunsu and the rear of Lindvall. But Lindvall been scrambling around the pits because he wants that car 100% to go back out against Peter Wiańczek in the top 16. Yunsu pushed hard but didn't work out for him. You can see Lindvall's car taking huge damage there. But this is the top 16, which is so stacked full of big names in this championship. Anything can, and often in this championship does happen. You see Jack Shanahan will go head-to-head with Marco Zaccarel. Zaccarel looking to jumpstart his poor lackluster season so far, but Shanahan looking at the top step of the podium. Laser focus. Rintanen goes up against Hampa, very evenly matched at the moment. James Dean goes up against Oliver Evans from Wales, who's going to be looking to take down the biggest name in the game, Conor Shanahan. Well, he won Austria, but he has to go up against the local hero, Laurie Heinahan, to get himself into the top 8. Dwayne McKeever, looking like one of the strongest drivers on the track with a 98-point run in qualifying, goes up against Kuba Pszczonski, who looks like he's on rails today. That's going to be a big battle. Yaroslav Tresh, the 17-year-old from Ukraine, will go up against Benediktas Čerba, who's back in business. Peter Wiańczek against Lindvall. This is the one a lot of the championship contenders will be looking at. Kvia against Poitalaxco will be another heavyweight battle towards the end. But Felix Lindvall almost took down Peter Wiańczek in Austria. He now got a revenge battle here in Sweden. Becky's with him now. He must be feeling a little bit confident and looking for revenge.
Felix, I know that you just had your battle there and you had quite a bit of damage to your car. Has your team been working around the clock to get it all ready for these battles next?
Yeah, the car is fixed right now and we are ready for Piotr.
And what we want to know is, obviously you had Peter Wiańczek in Austria, he managed to beat you there, so is this revenge? You're at your home track in front of your home crowd. What is going through your mind right now?
Yeah, I hope that I can take my revenge now, but we'll have to see.
We will have to see, and with this battle, do you think that he's going to be super fast, or have you got a strategy in mind that you're going to put in place?
I know he's fast, so I will have to give it all what I got.
Fantastic, thank you so much, Felix. He's looking like a confident guy there. It's all to play for. You know what Drift Masters is like. It throws up so many different, situations. There's always thrills, there's always spills, but I really think that this top 16 is going to be super exciting. I'm going to pass you up to the guys in the comment box. Dave and Ian, I can't wait for this one to get started.
No, you are correct, Becky. We are anticipating this one. You can see earlier on there, Conor Shanahan looking cooler than the other side of the pillow, Ian, as he sits on the wall waiting for his battle today. And I'll tell you one thing, a lot of these drivers have been in this high-pressure situation before. They'll all be delighted they got through those patchy conditions. They're all smiles on the top 16 parade. The fans here in Sweden soaking up the atmosphere, absolutely loving the atmosphere and the new track, which I think these drivers are starting to gel with now.
Yeah, they really are, Dave. And to be honest with you, I want to hand it down to a guy that we was talking about earlier, and that's Jack Shanahan. But Dave.
Yeah, but before we get into the nitty-gritty of this top 16, I think what we need to do is take a moment and just relax for a second, because you're going to need all that energy to keep your focus on the next couple of battles, because they're going to be wet and wild on this track. Guys, it's time to head for the 3rd time this year to our top 16. The stage is set. The drivers are ready. We started with 59. We got to our top 32. Now 16 drivers remain. Most of the contenders for the championship are in the mix, and one of them sits on the start line now. It is Jack Shanahan. Hit that almost perfect 99-point qualifying run. Says there's a couple of issues with the car, but they're working around them. But Zacharel, he hasn't had the perfect start to the season. If he takes down Shanahan here, he's back in the mix and back on everyone's lips as one of the top drivers in the game. All to play for as the flames fire out the back of Zacharel's car, and they fire into that first corner.
Yeah, look at that bonnet lifted up on Zacharel's car. They're putting so much pace down into that initiation. Shanahan absolutely lit. Look at this. Oh, a little wobble, though. Goes for almost shallow line into that outside zone. Finds himself back into it. Zacharel attacking on the back bumper. Lost in the smoke, though, is Marco Zacharel. When he's lost himself, he's way away now as Shanahan starts to lay down the power, put the grip to the tarmac and drive away. Zacharel, no answer for the Zoomy boy.
Absolutely. I'll tell you one thing. It looked to me like Jack Shanahan made a couple of errors in that lead run, so he was thankful that Zacharel was making a bigger mistake in the background. And to be honest, it looked like Shanahan's car wasn't 100%. He was going to the edge of the track. It was shutting down a little bit on him, and Zacharel, he could have made a bit more of a claim there, but unfortunately, as he fell back, got lost in the smoke, it looked like he made an error.
He did. Watch this. They come down. This is where Zacharel really starts to mess himself up. I don't think he was in the pocket. There's a pocket the drivers talk about, and that's getting close enough up onto the door so you can see where that lead car is. He falls back from that, and then watch this. He gets clouded in a whole host of smoke, goes for the back bumper, loses Shanahan, and then on this transition, times it way wrong, and you can see him on the opposite side of the circuit, on the outside zone too early, and then he knows himself, Dave, how do I claw this back?
Absolutely, and Jack Shanahan setting a new benchmark average speed of 98 kilometers an hour average speed through this course, which is incredible. You know what? There was a couple of flies in the ointment for Jack Shanahan's run there, but at the same time, he got the job done. He got the zones. He made it work. Even with a couple of errors, he was able to claw back the pretty good qualifying line, and Zacharel making the big error. So right now, as you can see, it's Conor Shanahan, who won round 2 in Austria, his brother, who's still in the competition, having a conversation with his brother, giving him some advice and saying, hey, you were fast, you weren't perfect, but Zacharel made a big error.
I mean, look, you talk about spotters, we talk about it quite a lot. Surely Conor Shanahan's a perfect spotter, right? He's winning rounds, he's winning championships. He's there on the line saying to him, well, this is what you need to do. Because
it's a big advantage because most of your spotters are kind of, assuming what's going on the track. Conor Shanahan knows exactly what's going on in the track. So great advice. As you can see, the Irish flag on the back of Jack Shanahan's car, giving himself a bit of space here. He's going to try and pace Zacharel off the line. Now, Zacharel's got a very fast car. If he can hook it up here, Shanahan will have a problem staying with him and could make mistakes. This one far from over as they come off the line up to 4th gear and fire it in to that first corner. Anything can happen. Yeah, look at this Shanahan, though. Onto the back bumper he goes. Nice initiation. A little bit slow for both of them, to be honest with you. Zacharel lights up the tyres as soon as he gets that car sideways. Now Shanahan finds the crease, gets into the zone as he looks down the side of that BMW 2 Series. They come into that front second zone. Shanahan still with him, not lost in the smoke like Zacharel did. Shanahan finding the grip, looking for the side of that car, makes a dive, looks for the front wheel of that BMW 2 Series. Shanahan right with him, dials it on a little bit more, and job done. Incredible stuff. You can actually look at the telemetry at the bottom of your screens. Zacharel getting more zones than Shanahan is his lead run, but when you talk about proximity, they're a world apart. Zacharel making big errors, leaving huge amounts of space between the two cars, but Shanahan not making that mistake, staying close to Zacharel right throughout the run. Committed quite early to the corner, he was up on the grass almost as they came through. That was his desperation to stay in the fight. Zacharel's car super fast, and as you can see, Shanahan having to shortcut some of his transitions to stay with him, but he does a good job. He stays in the pocket, as you would say, right up onto the front wheel, and this is where Shanahan doesn't make a big error like Zacharel in the chase. Zacharel doing a good job in that lead run, though. If he had shown some of that spark in his qualifying, he might not be in this position. He might have had an easier run, but he got Shanahan very early in the competition, and Shanahan forces the issue across the line. Looks to me like a strong performance from Jack Shanahan. However, what could have been for Zacharel with an amazing lead run. I mean, we're almost cutting Zacharel out of this at the moment, but hey, look, we know how good Jack Shanahan is, and we was talking about this guy earlier on, a few of us having a chat, and we said he is a serious contender today to go all the way to the top end of the competition. He's on form, he's looking strong, the car is fast. I will say, some errors though on Jack Shannon's lead run, nothing like his 99-point qualifying run. So I'm wondering, is the car sort of being held together with hopes and dreams, cable ties, glue, blue tack, all that stuff, just to keep it moving? But to me, I think it's all going to fall down. We'll check with the judges afterwards. I think that big mistake from Zacharel in the chase looked to me like the bigger error of the whole 2 passes.
Well, so there we go, both guys out of the car, and Jack Shanahan doing the international twin battle symbol there, the hands to hands, saying, I was on your door, buddy. Well, let's see how this one goes.
Yeah, going into the top 8 will be Jack Shanahan. The Irish driver goes through into the top 8, and Jack Shanahan says, me, you, me, it's me. So he's going through to the top 8. Kevin, I'm going to throw it down to you very quickly. What we were looking at there was the big error from Zacherl in the chase. Wasn't perfect anywhere else, but that looked like the biggest error to me.
Yeah, it all really comes down to that error by Zacherl in the chase run there, unfortunately. He was really strong up until then. He was starting to gain an advantage from the proximity that he had for the first corner and that first transition as well, but unfortunately just pushing it way too hard, trying to stick it to Jack Shannon's door coming into the second corner, and washes far too wide, just couldn't slow the car down in time, unfortunately. And from there, he was at a massive disadvantage for the rest of the run. Put down a cracker of a lead run while Jack was chasing as well, but it wasn't enough to overturn the advantage, unfortunately.
Well, there you have it. Jack Shanahan still very much in the championship fight. 3 top 8s at least for him in the first 3 rounds of the championship. Showing he's looking like good promise so far. But we've got them all stacked up today as we move to our next battle, which will see Henry Hampa in the chase position against Juha Rintanen. Finland versus Finland. So a lot of fans getting divided in the grandstand here, Ian, of who they're going for here. We don't have to be divided. We can just watch these 2 amazing guys go head to head. And again, looking for a turn of fortune. A top 8 finish would be the highest for either so far this year. So it's all to play for.
Yeah, it certainly is. And down they come through the gears. You can see Henry Hampa looking for the back bumper of that S15. That was disposed of earlier, and he's going to try and remove it once again. Hampa into the smoke. Look at this now. We're starting to get these close proximity tight battles. Nice transition, but Hampa left it a little bit too late to get the transition done. You can see him have to stall that car up as Juha Rintanen now accelerates down the hill, full throttle into these outside zones. A little dab of the handbrake, sets himself up for a nice transition back. Hampa goes for the dive, looks for the side of that S15, but just cannot seem to find it.
Oh, well, Hampa had some great proximity at the start of the run, at the end of the run, but in the middle, as you said, mistimed the transition in there, lost a bit of ground. Rintanen is so fast. That car hooks up, he drives with that extreme style. That seemed to work out from there as he put foot to floor and left a big smoke trail all over Henry Hampa's Mercedes right throughout the run.
Yeah, very nice job there for Juha Rintanen. And as you can see, look, that was the transition for me where it kind of went wrong. And you can see him having to make steering corrections in the car, get that car back on that qualifying line, which is where the judges want to see him. You know, that's the fastest route around the circuit. It's the perfect line around this circuit.
Gotta say, Rintanen's lead run here is fantastic.
Phenomenal, yeah, phenomenal.
Fantastic lead run. And, you know, what I like about it is you see a driver start to get better and better each run like Rintanen is. You start to get a little worried if you're the competition because he's starting to feel very comfortable in that S15.
Yeah, he certainly is. He made some overnight suspension changes, some setup changes to that S15 after qualifying yesterday, and as you can see, Juha Rintanen on an absolute flyer right now. These guys making their way back to the start line. Henry Hampa will have to lead out Juha Rintanen.
Yeah, taking the time, getting back, cooling the cars down, trying to keep some heat in those tyres, and Rintanen now moves into the chase position. He's going to know from his spotter, they're going to be saying, hey, Juha, you got the speed here. You can catch this guy. And he wasn't too far away from you in certain sections of the course. But if you can consistently stay on his door throughout the whole run, you're going to take the win here and go to the top 8. Easier said than done, especially when Henry Hampa's thrown some wild angles in there.
Yeah, he certainly is. It's a big old car to be throwing around, but Henry Hampa makes it look easy. Both have 2 JZ underneath the bonnet, both almost nearly 1,000 horsepower. And here we go. Now the track conditions back to normal. All the power and grip will come into play. Look at this. Hampa flicks it across the circuit. Juha Rintanen, very clever dive on initiation. Gets a little bit outdriven there on that first corner, but now Juha Rintanen gets himself back into it. Perfect transition. Juha Rintanen sneaking up the inside, taking a look at the front wheel on that Mercedes-Benz as he transitions earlier than Henry Hampa. Hampa into the outside zone, dabs the handbrake, allows Rintanen to get into the pocket and the outside zone. Rintanen now keeping his distance as Hampa takes him across the line.
Oh, exciting stuff for both of these guys. Rintanen certainly not backing down. He left it all on the track. Thumbs up between both drivers. However, I'm just, from my first glance, thinking Hampa had a big error on the transition after the first corner. I think that's what caused Rintanen to get stuck on the inside of the track. We will see it in the replay, but it looked to me like there was an error. Watch in the lead position here. Hampa's on a good line as he comes through that first corner, but watch as he transitions here. He transitions right to the edge of the track, and he transitions quite early. I think he just kind of has a wobble there a little bit of a wobble, goes way away from that outside zone. He's supposed to be at the edge of the track, but he's actually at the midpoint of the track, meaning he's squeezing Juha Rintanen into a very uncomfortable position. And Juha Rintanen did very well to keep it moving at that point, but I think it kind of threw off his proximity for the rest of the run. Does a good job, Rintanen, from there on in to stay going. But how are these guys seeing through these smoke clouds?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. The amount of smoke coming off the back of these cars now is just phenomenal. And Juha Rintanen doing a really good job dealing with that, seeing through the smoke, that muscle memory really coming into play. They've done quite a lot of runs over the weekend now on this circuit between the 2 practice sessions yesterday and today. And look at this, 2 Finnish drivers. Neither one of them will want to go out in competition, and I'm pretty sure they'll be supporting whoever goes through. Here we go, decisions in.
Yeah, decisions in. It's Juha Rintanen getting the win. Juha Rintanen gets the win. The Finnish driver goes through to the top 8, beats another Finnish driver. Kevin, I'm going to throw it quickly back to you. Look to me, I mean, first glance, of course, we're watching it like spectators up here, that there was a little bit of an error from Hampa in his lead run there that may have caused some issues for Rintanen.
Yeah, you guys nailed it there. I think that was really caused by Henry dropping a wheel at outer zone 3, and you can see then that he just can't control the switchback and the transition, and it really messes up his run then out from outer zone 3 all the way down to outer zone 4, completely missing that outer zone there in front of us here. It made it extremely difficult for Juha to maintain proximity, but we were really impressed here in the tower with how he was able to maintain that proximity even on the incorrect line, and he did gain a significant advantage from his chase run from that. Over the 2 runs, Juha doing a slightly better lead run and definitely a better chase run with that incorrect lead line from Henry. So overall, Juha the far better driver over the 2 runs, so he takes the win.
Well, he's through to the top 8. He must be very, very happy. He is trackside with Becky right now. We have a Finnish driver into the top 8.
You must be delighted. You're into the top 8. How difficult was that battle? I mean, I know that coming behind these cars, the smoke screen is just incredible. Could you see?
Some, but it's just a shame that I drove against my countryman here, and we're such a good friends. So I think I did my 2 best laps for the whole weekend here now.
Amazing. They looked incredible. You did fantastic. So we'll see you in the top 8. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there he is. He's very happy with everything, and he should be. Although he didn't want to take down one of his countrymen, you got to do it. If you're going to start with them down to 8 drivers, you know, he's got to be as competitive as possible. And Juha Rintanen makes up another spot in that top 8. Now, here's an interesting one. Oliver Evans, he went away, didn't go to Austria because he was trying to build his car back up for this particular event. Well, he's getting one of the biggest challenges he's ever had in his career. He goes head-to-head with James Dean. And I know one thing, Oliver Evans will relish this opportunity. He is quite a confident young man. He'll want to take down Dean and make a big statement for the rest of the series. However, James Dean, he has one eye looking at that leaderboard. He needs points on the board for this championship. Lot to play for here. And you know what? Can't wait to see this one set off the line.
Well, there we go. We're going to see it right this second, Dave, as Oliver Evans starts creeping for the start line. Almost equal equipment on the track. And look at Evans almost on the attack straight away as he now looks for the side of James Dean's S15. But James Dean is up and gone. Evans having a hold back, shortcuts the circuit. Early transition for Oliver Evans. He's in the inside edge of the circuit, clips the front wheel and fires himself off. DB to front tyre, goes too aggressive, does Oliver Evans.
Yeah, threw everything at him. Threw all the toys out of the pram on that outer zone, but there's the wily character of James Dean, not getting stressed out by his opponent being too close, just concentrating on his own lead run. And it looks to me like Oliver Evans, I mean, he had to push hard. He lost a little bit of ground on the first corner. He had to go heavy, but that's going to be him out of the battle because he has no tyre on the front wheel of his car, which means he cannot set off from the second half of this battle, which to me looks like James Dean is going to go through to the top 8 here with obviously an official decision if it wasn't Dean's fault. But it looked to me like Evans transitions too quick. He ends up on the inside of the track and he hits Dean. Does he hit Dean or something happens? But you can see here, tyre gone off the front. Yeah, it touches the back wheel of James Dean's car, takes the tyre off his own car, and he's going to limp back to the pits and unfortunately have to limp back to Wales with his tail between his legs because he threw everything at him, but unfortunately Dean doesn't waver that easily. He's a very, very good competitor. James doing his job, and he'll have felt a little bit of contact, and you can see in the background there of that shot, you know, Evans off the track. He's probably at a 0 anyway, but he cannot continue now that he has no tyre on the front wheel. Oh, he threw everything at him. I really wanted to see him give it a go, and he definitely gave it a go for the first 2 corners, but it just didn't go right for him.
Well, I mean, look, you're approaching a battle with James Dean. You can't really come into this one half-heartedly, Dave. You have to go with everything. Oh, look at him throwing his hand in the air. Is Oliver Evans, and maybe Oliver Evans not too happy with what was going on track there.
Yeah, well, Oliver Evans can often be an emotional character on circuit, and you know what? I love that. I love the fact that he's so in it. He wants to win every single round, and I love that competitive spirit that these drivers have. Dean's not going to know a whole lot about what went on there. He's just going to say, where did Oliver Evans go? He's going to feel a little bump on the back of the car, but Evans is out of the car right now, and you can see absolutely dejected, cannot get back to the start line with one tyre off the rim, and James Dean's going to get essentially a bye run here to make it official.
Yes, so there we go. We wait for the clock to count down to 0. That was when we expected to see Oliver Evans back on the start line, and
he will be informed, though, without a tyre on the rim, that he cannot compete in the run. He's going to go congratulate James Dean and say, look, unfortunately, he can't make it work. As I said, he's shaking his head, all smiles, he's out of competition, and you know what, that's the harsh reality of drifting. It's not a sport like any other. You can see the tyre there not having any air in, and yeah, just he's dejected. That's what it's all about. I mean, he wants to win, he wants to be competitive, and you know what, I like that in a driver that wants to go out there, and he's very harsh on himself sometimes, Oliver Evans. You know, he really wants to be the best, and I think on those occasions, to be honest, if he went out there and did a soft lap behind James Dean, it's not good enough to beat James Dean on any day. So I think he did the right call going hard. Unfortunately, went off the track.
yeah, so there we go. I mean, you have to push it to the limit. You have to try and push as hard as you can. And as we can see, that front wheel de-beaded on Oliver Evans' car. Now start line Marshall Martin just having a chat with James Dean, seeing if James is happy to fulfill his chase run from what we would have seen in the second half of this battle.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be chasing anybody. He's just going to take off from the line and go for a run, and that'll be the end of that. And then Evans will go down to, this will be the end of the battle. I mean, I think probably giving James Dean the choice here, as Evans is getting disqualified from the competition. James Dean doesn't always get it that easy in the top 16, and unfortunately for Evans, he would have much preferred the 2 runs on this. But James Dean's going to go for one for the fans here, I think.
Yeah, he's going to throw it down. Look at this big, wild initiation. Wow, right to the edge of the circuit. James Dean not messing around. Going to put in an absolute flyer just for the crowd here in the grandstand in Sweden. And we'll take every opportunity to put another run around the circuit, as James, the Machine Dean, using every inch of tarmac now, fires into that final outside zone, lights up the tyres, and James Dean putting on that masterclass of a lead.
Well, one thing that James Dean does, I think more than anybody else on the whole Drift Masters grid, is throw that angle in. Like so many big angle maneuvers. That's the thing I can't understand with Dean. He throws more angle at it. I think you could probably take Jack Shannon into that category as well. But the amount of angle he runs throughout the course is just insane.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a master, Dave, at the end of the day, and there's a reason why we call him the Machine. He's able to do things in cars that me and you aren't even...
We couldn't even
think about doing it.
We wouldn't even... We'd be too scared to dream about it, what he's doing in the car. We move it along, though, and you can see James Dean pouring some smoke at the back end of this car, and he's going to move towards the top 8, and you know what? Stacking up that top 8 at the moment. Some big contenders in the championship. Jack Shanahan's through to the top 8. Juha Rintanen through to the top 8, and now James Dean through to the top 8. And we move on to our next battle very shortly, and every battle that comes here in the top 16 is a big one. Not only have we got 2 superstars in almost every part of the bracket, but we have got a lot of championship contenders in the mix.
Yeah, we certainly have. Well, we need to find out who James will be battling in that Grade 8 battle, and it's going to be Shanahan versus Laurie Heinonen. Well, there we go. We make it official, and all of the indicators light up for James Dean. He does get the win, advance on to that Grade 8. How good is that shot from the Phantom camera?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing stuff. The guy is working so hard behind the scenes at Red Bull TV to bring you all the action, to feel like you're all, you know, you're here with us.
You're here. You basically feel like you're in Sweden, but in your front room.
Exactly.
Couldn't be better.
And we hope you guys are enjoying the show. Well, we're going to enjoy it ourselves, because we want to see what happens between Conor Shanahan and Laurie Heinonen. The Finnish driver is going to have all the spectators behind him, but Conor Shanahan has one look at that leaderboard in the championship, says, I got to get the job done here. Here we go. One Shanahan goes to the top 8. Can the Finnish driver Heinonen take down the other?
And I think Laurie Heinonen here is going to go for it. He's going to go for broke. He has nothing to lose. He's going up against a round 2 winner, and Heinonen is in the smoke. Heinonen not scared of Conor Shanahan. But he goes for a late transition. Is that going to work? As Shanahan drops a wheel off the edge of the circuit, that's upset Laurie Heinonen. He takes a wheel off the edge of the circuit once again, and Heinonen has to almost shut it down. You can see him straight lining through the middle of the circuit now. Tries to get himself back into the mix, but Shanahan is up and gone.
Well, it's the same story we've seen many times. You try and catch that ground up after that first corner, you end up picking up way too much speed, and if you pick up way too much speed, guess what happens? You can't slow down.
You can't slow it down.
So therefore, you go off the track, and if you go off the track here, it's such an edge. The edge of the track is so rough. It's so coarse that it pulls the car in, you make a big error, and right now Conor Shannon looking very strong there. Heinen, as you can see, loses here, but he's on very little angle, which means he's picking up a lot of pace. Watch this moment. Shannon's slowing, and Heinen's still speeding up. Never going to stop that car in time. And as he goes wide, you see the dirt kicked up. Heinen makes a big error. He keeps it going, to be fair. It doesn't zero out the run, which I'm very impressed with. But right now, he's in no man's land towards that last corner, cutting the corner, trying to get some proximity. Shannon having a little wobble as he goes across the finish line there, but I think job done for the first half of this run for a very impressive Conor Shannon so far. And, you know, we were speaking about this in Austria. He didn't look super confident in practice. His qualifying wasn't, you know, top of the leaderboard, but he grows into these battles. And that's actually the most important thing. You can qualify first and go out top 32, but if you can grow into every run, which Shanahan seems to be doing right throughout this season, maybe that's, you know, you want your peak performance to come at the end of the competition, not right at the start. So I think he's got a good thing going there.
Yes, so there we go. Shanahan will be growing into that role, as Dave says, getting more and more confident every single pass of the circuit. Now, he would have had Jack Shanahan on his radio now, telling him how he got on, you know, the two brothers sharing information. And Laurie Heinen keeps the tyres on the car. I was hoping that he had still got the tyres on the back of that car. I was hoping we didn't have another DB situation, Dave. These guys going hard this weekend, but Laurie Heinen ready for action. You can see him slot that car into gear. Shanahan now going to go for the big run in on this one. Laurie Heinen hoping he could get it all done in the lead position, hoping that Shanahan makes a mistake through the gears. Down they come. That NASCAR V8 screaming from Laurie Heinen's S13, but Conor Shanahan unfazed. He's on the foot brake to slow the car down. That's how much pace Shanahan has got all over the back bumper of Laurie Heinen's S13. They come down into that front inner zone, over the hill, over the crest, down in front of the grandstand. Shanahan all over the side of Laurie Heinen as they transition back once again. Heinen looks for the outside zone. Shanahan reels him in on the foot brake, on the door.
Wow, what a chase run from Conor Shanahan. Didn't need to do it. He had all the advantage, but that's a statement to the rest of the grid, because that was the best chase run we've watched on this circuit. Hey, guess what? It's the best chase run in the history of this circuit, because this is the first day of battles.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds dramatic, I think.
Oh, it works.
Conor Shanahan getting the job done from the start. We've never seen anybody as close as this on the first corner. He is on the front. His front brake is slammed on. He's got that much pace in the car.
He's slowing the car down behind Laurie Heinen, who is absolutely glued to the throttle. And Conor's like, well, we'll keep slowing down. I'll slow down a little bit more here. That's how much pace they've dialed in and grip they've dialed into this car, knowing that as they move through the battles, the guys are going to start getting faster and faster, and they're going to have to need to get closer and closer and match that speed with proximity.
And on our telemetry system, he has set the benchmark for proximity throughout the run, and no surprise there. The telemetry not showing us anything we didn't see with our own two eyes, because he was glued to Laurie Heinen the whole way through the course. I love this at the end, the little exclamation mark for the judges to say, yeah, it was that close.
Yeah, he certainly was that close. So there we go, Laurie Heinen taking them both to the wall.
Well, as they stand in front of this grandstand here in Sweden and the big screen, they're going to get the results. I think this one's going to be probably a bit of a formality. Conor Shanahan, you know, not only did he not need to do a whole lot on that second chase run, but he actually went way over and beyond. So I think the judges are, you can see Conor Shanahan giving the international symbol for, I was very, very close. Let's see which way the judges slide. I think this one's going to be pretty easy. It's Conor Shanahan going through to our grade 8. His championship hopes definitely still very much alive. Two Shanahans into the top 8, joined by James Dean and Juha Rintanen. So we have got 4 Irish drivers so far into the grade 8, and we have 1 Finnish driver representing the local audience. So let's go down to Becky. She's with Conor Shanahan. Conor Shanahan, business as usual. He's now into the top 8.
Connor, you have got to be delighted with that. I know you've been doing a lot of practice in the off-season, and we can really see your chase game has just gone up and up and up. We're at the midway of the championship. How confident are you feeling that you could maybe win this year?
I'm not sure. There's a lot of nerves kind of coming into my driving there. I felt it on my leader and I just couldn't settle in the car a little bit. But when it comes to chasing, I'm happy. You know, I feel so confident chasing in this car. I can really commit to the door. But yeah, if I going up against the guy who I went up against in Austria, and we'll go again. But I'm sure James doesn't want me to, you know, beat him again, and I think he's going to be pushing so hard. So let's make it a fair battle. Let's put on a show for everybody here in attendance and everybody watching at home. But yeah, to be honest, I'm just feeling good. I think, either way, worst scenario, we'll end up 5th overall, even if we get knocked out. But we're not going down without a fight. Yeah, James, let's go. We're going to have fun, and I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, the fans are incredible here. Car is running sweet, so yeah, let's get the job done, hopefully.
Congratulations, Connor, a confident man there.
Yeah, for sure, and you want to be going in against the machine, James Dean, but one man going in with more confidence than anybody else would be Conor Shannon, because he beat him in Austria.
Yeah.
And James Dean is not going to like that. There's 2 wins for Conor Shannon and 0 wins for James Dean in their little face-off, the Master and the Apprentice. I think James Dean's going to come for a little bit of revenge later on, and that's all the story we've got for now. We'll get back to that very soon. We'll move it along the order. We've got some big battles still to go here in the top 16.
Yeah, we certainly have. We move it along to Dwayne McKeever now to take on Kuba Pszczonski. 2 of our favourite drivers, 2 of our favourite cars.
These are beautiful cars. These are 2 very competitive drivers. Dwayne McKeever, you're talking Irish champion, UK champion, got a lot of European podiums. Jakub Pszczonski, Polish champion, Dakar champion, Rally champion, lots of Drift Masters trophies. There is a lot of trophies in 2 cabinets here, 1 from Northern Ireland, 1 from Poland. Well, I'll tell you one thing, they are definitely going into this one thinking they can win it.
Oh, they certainly are. Look at Dwayne McKeever, a little wave to the camera as he sits on the start line. He will lead out Kuba Pszczonski, the higher qualifier. McKeever with a 98-point run, almost topped that qualifying, but Pszczonski comes in here with an incredible amount of talent, skill and knowledge as a driver. Through the chicane they go, down through the gears. Pszczonski looking across the back end of that S13. Is he going to go for a wild initiation? Kind of goes weird, kind of goes shallow on it. Now starts to lose some ground. Can he rein in Dwayne McKeever? This is where McKeever gets in and gets on the throttle nice and early. And look at this, Pszczonski just can't seem to close the gap. Flicks it back. Pszczonski looks for the back bumper. Sneakily takes a little dive up the inside, almost cuts his nose off. Pszczonski goes for a wild dive. It cuts off the circuit, but it pays off.
Yeah, strange chase run from Kuba Pszczonski. Cut a lot of track. McKeever speed through this course. And I'm not going to say speed just in terms of grip and car. Bravery. He's coming in faster than anybody into that outer zone. Edge of the circuit stuff. I'm going to show you some of the standout moments for me. As Pszczonski comes through here, he's on the inside of the course, trying to gain ground. Can't gain it, though. Now, watch the transition from McKeever. This is as fast as anybody. Look at the car lengths he's pulling here as he goes on the throttle way before the deceleration zone. So as Kuba is decelerating, McKeever is accelerating. Now, I thought McKeever was going to get caught on the edge of the circuit here, just about gets away with it. Pszczonski tries to desperately dive back into this. Watch, he goes on the inside, but he gets caught. Goes too aggressive, has to back off, does a good job of turning around, but he straightens and he goes into the wrong area of the track. He's completely in the wrong area. Now, it looks good just about here on for the finish, but how he got there, the judges will not like that.
No, they would have seen him on the back bumper. The whole premise of this is to get as close as possible, but chase on a chaseable line. They still want to see you on that nice line, not shortcutting the track to get there to gain that proximity. And judges wouldn't have liked that from Kuba Pszczonski.
Well, Dwayne McKeever going out top 32 in Austria, very disappointed, very dejected. Said he had to refocus, reset. It looks like he's got the job done in the last 2 weeks. And I mean, that 2-week gap has been an advantage. He hasn't had too many days to dwell on a bad result. Pszczonski's had a pretty good run through the championship so far. And I mean, he's here battling for a top 8 spot. He's very consistent, but right now it looks to me like the pendulum of favour has swung towards McKeever. He's in the chase position, but with a faster car and a faster approach, this is where mistakes can happen. He could make contact with Pszczonski, who probably isn't running it as crazy as McKeever is right now. So this is going to be interesting for the next couple of seconds to see what way they approach that first corner, but here we go.
Well, look at this, McKeever didn't need to take a run in. He knew he had the faster car. Maybe he's going to hold back here as he dips the nose into that S13 now. Gets on the throttle, gives Kuba Pszczonski the room to get himself set up now. Full throttle from both of them. They come into the outside zone. McKeever has got the pace as he comes down, locking the front wheel as he sneaks up onto the door of Kuba Pszczonski's GT86. Once again goes for the dive. Pszczonski on the handbrake opens the door, and McKeever takes a big step in as he pushes right up on the door of that GT86 and shows the judges how it is done.
Whoa! What a transition. We've been waiting all weekend to see what this track is capable of. I think Dwayne McKeever just showed us, and he has absolutely lit the tires off the car in 4th gear over the finish line because he thinks in his own head he's got the job done here. What an incredible job from McKeever. Closer than we've seen most people. Now, Shanahan might have been Conor Shanahan a little closer here, but watch as he winds in. Watch this transition. This is at 70 plus miles an hour, ladies and gentlemen, that he is making these maneuvers happen. You can see Pszczonski, big lock up on the front. McKeever handles it. And as they come through this center section, McKeever gets a little bit caught on the inside, similar to how Pszczonski did. But when Pszczonski made the mistake, McKeever's clever. He backs off. Now watch the timing. Oh, perfection up onto the door, gets the job done early, and McKeever is right there the whole way. Where they both had the similar idea, it looked like Pszczonski makes the mistake, McKeever makes it happen, and that may be the reason the judges might call his name in a few moments' time.
Well, there we go. Textbook chase from Dwayne McKeever. And that, for me, the defining moment where he just pushed up onto the door. They were absolutely wheel to wheel. Pszczonski could have looked over and seen McKeever's cheesy little grin looking at him saying, I'm right here, buddy.
And Dwayne is obviously, you know, he wants this result. He means a lot to him, and he's going to get it. Dwayne McKeever moves on to the top 8, deservedly so, with some phenomenal chase driving. And as far as I'm concerned, he threw everything at Kuba Pszczonski. A lot of respect for the Polish driver. Knowing how good he is, he had to be sensational. And right now, down on the track, Becky is with Dwayne McKeever. He must be elated.
Dave, elated is not the word. He just said to me, welcome back. Dwayne, do you have a point to prove right now? I know 2 weeks ago in Austria, top 32 finish, wasn't your best outing. Are you feeling good?
Feeling on top of it at the minute here. A top 32 exit in Austria to me was like a knife in the heart. Absolutely put me in such a downer to come here and qualify second on the level that I was at this weekend. Like, I know myself that I'm up there, like, so I know what I'm capable of. I'm so glad that I brought that back out myself again.
And I know you always say to me, when it's a good run, you know it's a good run. I can see you celebrating behind the wheel there, big smile on your face.
Oh yeah, after a run, even my qualifying run yesterday, like, of punching the steering wheel and shouting through the car, you know whenever you've filled every zone and done everything you needed to do to keep the judges happy, so yeah.
Congratulations, Dwayne, we'll see you in the top 8.
He's a happy man, Dwayne McKeever, and he's punching the steering wheel. I'll tell you what, he's punching his way through the grid at the moment, and I would not like to be anyone going up against him later on, because he's feeling confident in that car.
What happens this weekend if he comes in, takes top step and really upsets the championship?
Oh, the apple cart just fell over at that point.
I mean, come on, look at him. He's got it. He's got everything that you would want. The chase, the lead, the whole lot. He's got the whole package.
We have watched every single interview with every driver who's won a battle here. Nobody looks as happy as Dwayne McKeever right now. Now, one is obviously relief for getting back to where he thinks he's capable of, but two, smiling, comfortable. I'm not sure, but we got a couple of big stars on the line that will be smiling at the end of this if they take the win and go to the top 8. It's going to be Benediktas Čerba back. Well, not with a bang this weekend, because he had the big bang in Austria when he hit the wall, but they fixed the car. He's back in the top 16. He goes up against the youngster, 17-year-old Ukrainian Yaroslav Thresh in this incredible carbon Kevlar Supra. He's going to be in the lead position, 17 years of age. Looks like he's getting more confident in every run, and that's dangerous for Benediktas Čerba.
Well, Yaroslav Thresh told me earlier on in an interview that he looked up to Čerba as a driver, but now he said he's fast, but I'm faster. Let's see if he is faster as he fires in. Look at this. Benediktas Čerba isn't faster. Yaroslav Thresh has the pace. Can Čerba look for the back end of that carbon Kevlar 890 Supra? Čerba's gone wide. He's coming down the hill. He's going to try and use that to slingshot him through, but Thresh is up and gone on those outside zones. Dabs the handbrake, slows himself down. Čerba can't handle it. Can he get into this outside zone and find the side of that 890 Supra? He certainly can. Oh, and he almost makes contact.
Oh, Thresh went on a bit of a strange line there in the last zone and had to kind of pull himself out of the arc he was on, or he would have been in the wall, but up till there, an absolute masterclass from the 17-year-old Ukrainian. Phenomenal driving. You can see it, Čerba came in hot and heavy in the chase position. However, he got himself a little bit caught, went a little too wide and lost a bit of momentum. Watch this, Thresh is so fast through this section, smoke pouring from the rear end of that Toyota Supra. He's got all the pace, and as you said, he is a little faster. Čerba has to fire the car in at big angle to slow himself down. However, all that big angle means a loss of momentum, and Thresh was up and gone out of that corner. Misses the outer zone though, Thresh, and a little wobble, has to reinitiate on the handbrake to that outer zone. So a couple of errors in the lead position I didn't initially spot. And watch here on the last corner, has to come off the throttle a little bit here. Look, has to come off because he's going in the wall and straighten up a little bit. Čerba takes advantage and gets up close and personal. Still a bit to play for on this one. I don't think it's over just yet.
No, this one still has a lot left in it.
In the balance.
In the balance. In the balance. We have to.
You know what I love about it? You know what I love about
it? Oh, do you know these two guys literally? Wow, Yaroslav Thresh qualified in the top 10.
And this is his what? Second Drift Masters?
Second Drift Masters event. Čerba down in 26th, sorry. So Čerba getting back into the feel of things.
17 years of age, by the way. When I was 17, I was struggling with hill starts. He's here driving 1,000 horsepower Toyota Supras and just look, casual.
Casually.
You know, what are you doing Saturday? No, I might just go out with my 1,000 horsepower Supra and beat some of the best drifters in the world. You? Come on. Crazy stuff. Anyway, he's in the chase position now. He's going to try and impress us all. Can he get to Churba's door? I'm going to make a pretty solid bet he can.
Yeah, I bet he can as well, Dave. Look at this. He's alongside him. He's going to go off for a wild initiation. Almost tags the rear wheel on initiation. Jaroslav Tresh goes for it. Looks down the inside. Look at him. He's tucking the nose of that Supra right up on Churba's door. Waits for the transition. He makes a little mess of that one, though. Has to get back into it now as Churba starts laying down a real nice qualifying line. Jaroslav Tresh is in the mix, but he's making a whole host of errors, chasing down Churba, goes for the dive, but he's way out of the outside zone. And look at Churba to the wall across the line.
Interesting battle because Tresh was close, but he was making some mistakes. That last transition, I completely lost Jaroslav Tresh in the smoke. Didn't know where he was, and then boom, peekaboo, he comes out of the smoke, and he's still there. Tough to drive in those smoke clouds, these cars. I mean, you talk about visibility. I mean, look at the window of Tresh's car here. How is he seeing absolutely anything? But as you said, he took a clever advice from, you know, his spotter. He backed off a little bit, tried to make it work, but there didn't. He had to go on very little angle. Does he get to the outer zone? Nowhere near the outer zone. Churba's lead run, by the way, is absolutely blitzing the course. And look at this, trying to cut ground everywhere is Jaroslav Tresh. I thought he would have the faster car. It looks like Churba just turned it up to 11 as he went into that one, and Tresh in the wrong place altogether here at the end. Interesting. I think definitely the better lead run for me was Benediktas Churba.
Yeah, lead to lead, chase to chase is exactly how the judges look at this, and I'm pretty sure that they are not going to be happy with Jaroslav Tresh's chase run, because he was way off of where the judges expected to see them in that chase position. Still wanted to see rear wheels in outside zone 8, and he was way on the inside. I think a little bit of experience has crept in here. I think Benediktas Churba just holds that key at the moment that Tresh just doesn't have.
Yeah, but he's 17, performing in front of thousands and millions of people. I mean, it just doesn't matter if he wins.
Well, he's got Super, Dave, so, you know.
He's just the coolest guy I've ever seen.
Coolest kid.
And he's just out there casual going, oh, yeah, well, you know.
Yeah, do you like my Supra?
Yeah, I like your BMW. Do you like my Supra? Yes, very nice. I like yellow. Do you like yellow? I love yellow. Let's see who wins, though, and goes through to the top 8. It's going to be Benediktas Churba getting the win, and he's as surprised as he is impressed, because he's so happy. I mean, 2 weeks ago, his car was in the wall, and here he is in the top 8. What a turnaround. Incredible stuff from Benediktas Churba. Phenomenal. I want to go quickly down to you, Kevin, just for a moment. Was it the sketchy chase driving from Jaroslav Tresh like we picked up on?
It was, Dave, and it was also the lead line of Tresh as well. We specified that both the lead and the chase driver need to try and be on that qualifying line. And Tresh on his lead line was nowhere near it at all, to be honest. He was cutting the track absolutely everywhere, just trying to get away from Churba, trying to have that pace to create that gap that you saw. And that's not the way we want to see battles done. We want to see the lead driver nailing that 100-point qualifying run the whole way through. And that's something that Tresh definitely didn't do on his lead run, whereas you did see that from Churba. Fantastic lead line, very few errors from Churba on his. And then you switch it then to the proximity. Yes, Churba didn't have proximity, but it was because Tresh was trying to pull away from him and trying to run away. And then Tresh on his chase run then was making massive sacrifices to gain that proximity, way off that qualifying line again, making huge dives absolutely everywhere just to gain that proximity, and shallowing up on angle as well. Very scrappy lead and chase line from Tresh, and it's not what we want to see. So overall, Churba, yes, he didn't have the aggression and proximity that we'd like to see, but he was a cleaner driver over the 2 runs with less mistakes.
Well, thanks for that, Kev. Clears it up nicely. Becky's there. I tell you what, here's a man that's had an emotional roller coaster of 2 weeks. He's buried in the barrier with his chassis legs bent 2 weeks ago. Here he is going to the top 8. What a story, Becky. Churba's through to the top 8.
Benediktas, this is a much better result than what happened 2 weeks ago in Austria. You must be absolutely delighted. Does it feel great to be back behind the wheel of this car and fighting your way into the top 8?
Yeah, I'm very happy. I want to say big thanks for my team, for my mechanic, for people who has helped to fix the car, and I'm in here.
Does the car feel just as good as it was before?
Maybe a little bit better.
That's what we like to hear. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There you have it. So there's some advice from Benediktas Churba. You want your car to handle better? Crash into a wall. Yeah, crash into a wall.
Get your mates to fix it.
Get your friends to fix it. Better car.
Better car.
Don't quote us on that. terms and conditions apply. Not sure if that would ever happen to anyone else. But it's happened for Benedictus Gerba, because he's into the top 8. What a turnaround.
I think it comes down to that old fact, and it was one of the things, I don't know, it's just one of those things that used to happen when I was competing many moons ago, Dave.
In the 60s.
In the 60s, we'd build a brand new car, and then one of the guys would come over with a screwdriver and scratch it and say, it's damaged now, you don't have to worry. Now he's crashed it, he's like, well, it's always repairable.
Well, we move on to a big battle. We built it up in the pre-show because Felix Lindvall gets a second roll of the dice against Peter Wiańczek here in the top 16. And not only will Felix Lindvall have his sights very much set on Wiańczek, so will all the other competitors in the grid, because Wiańczek, he's a tough man to take down. He has been incredibly fast. He's been incredibly aggressive. He has put too many feet wrong for the last almost year and a half in this championship. Lindvall, though, on the other hand, turns on the nitrous and said, I'm sending it to the door of that S15 when we go into that first corner. Look at Lindvall, ready to go here. Wiańczek in the lead. Championship, very much the points on the line here as Wiańczek throws in. Lindvall not having the pace so far.
No, Lindvall left a little bit on the line there as Peter Wiańczek fires down, looks hungry for it as Wiańczek starts to pull some car lamps on Felix Lindvall. Lindvall already had one roll of the dice with Peter Wiańczek in Austria, just this time cannot hang with the pace. Wiańczek is up and gone, and Lindvall is nowhere in the fight. He's on the inside of the circuit, and Wiańczek absolutely dominating it.
I mean, I'll put it this way. I don't know how you deal with the fact that he's not braking. He's full throttle the whole way through the course. No handbrake, a little bit of left foot just to bring the nose in. Everyone else, like, watch this. He's full throttle from the start of the track almost till the end. That's an incredible task. Look at this, 99 kilometers an hour average speed, almost 100 kilometers an hour average speed. Now watch this. This is where you start to see everyone pulling the handbrake. Is he pulling the handbrake? No. He's full throttle through the D-cell zone. There is no D-cell zone for Peter Wiańczek. Doesn't exist. Didn't need them. And then he goes right on the transition, left foot braking. As he transitions back, watch this. As he transitions back, uses the angle to slow the car down, back on the throttle again. No handbrake. What do you do with that? How do you compete against that? Lindvall's going, I don't even know how he's still on the track.
I think we need a reboot in the tower for Dave. I think
I glitched out.
You glitched out then.
But he's defying physics here. Do you know what I mean? I mean, this is not something I'm prepared for in my notes that, at around about, this time of the day, Peter Wiańczek will defy physics and not need the brake pedal or the handbrake for the entire run.
For a whole run.
Doesn't make sense. And that's brave driving too, because it's kind of like you're on the edge at that point.
He is.
However, can't chase like that.
No.
Because he will absolutely balloon Felix Lindvall off the track if he does that. So he's got to slow here. And we've seen it happen with Peter Wiańczek in the past. Doesn't like driving slow.
No, doesn't like driving slow. But Felix Lindvall, look, again, it's going to come down to lead to lead, chase to chase. Lindvall needs to put down an incredible lead because his chase wasn't that clean. He made a whole host of errors himself. Lindvall almost had Wiańczek on the ropes in Austria. We all said he was right in the mix. This time, the balance is swinging in Wiańczek's, favour. But now Wiańczek has to go to a place where he doesn't like to go, and that's slowing that car down because he knows it doesn't react the way he wants it to react.
I also mean by saying slower car, Lindvall still has one of the fastest cars on the grid.
Yeah.
And he's still doing 80 mile an hour plus through the track. But the way Wiańczek's driving, he has to adapt that now. He can't just go full throttle everywhere. So let's see how this plays out. Very interesting circumstances here in the top 16 as Wiańczek throws in with a lot of pace behind Lindvall. He's got to slow it up a little bit. Lindvall fires through that first corner. Wiańczek right with him. Now watch this transition. How does Wiańczek react? He reacts very well in the chase position. Lindvall goes right to the edge of the circuit. Full throttle from Lindvall here as he's absolutely tearing through. Wiańczek doing a phenomenal job in the chase position of adapting. Now watch this dive from Wiańczek. Absolutely picture perfect from Peter Wiańczek as he runs that S15 up onto the door of Felix Lindvall. That looks to me like another good run for Peter Wiańczek, which means 2 good runs. That's going to the top 8, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, you can't deny it. There is no denying it. Felix Lindvall did everything he could to try and evade Peter Wiańczek there, and Wiańczek had an answer for everything he threw at him. Watch this, incredible stuff. Lindvall came in there faster than he's probably come in there all weekend just to try and shake off the Polishman, but Wiańczek was not phased. Shallowed up the angle, you can see him wobbling a little bit in the background, goes for an early transition down as they come down the hill. Felix Lindvall, though, does drop a wheel over the edge of the circuit here. Gets back into it. He tries to do a Peter Wiańczek and stay full throttle through the whole circuit, but just cannot do it. And you see here, brake lights on, he's slowing that car down on the foot brake, transitions back, a little dab of the handbrake, and then barely gets to outside zone 8. He has to wait to wash into it, up onto the wall. Wiańczek does an incredible job of managing it.
You know what? I think Wiańczek's figured out how to drive this car in the chase position this weekend. I think he's got it dialed in much better than Austria. I think he's doing a really good job of keeping the car on angle and also making it look fluid and fast. So let's see which way the judges go. We've given our opinions here in the tower, but our opinions count for very little in the grand scheme of things because we don't make the average scores come in. Let's see what happens. He's going to slide them all left for Peter Wiańczek. The Polish driver goes through to the top 8, and you can see what it means to him. That championship still very much in his hands right now. He's the reigning champion. He's currently the points leader, and he's down with Becky. Becky, he must be delighted. He's been driving fantastic all weekend, and here he is back into another great 8.
Peter, it's another great 8 for you. You look so comfortable behind the wheel of that car. Coming through those first outer clips, it looks like you're not slowing down at all, not even using any handbrake. Are you comfortable in there?
I'm really surprised, but it is comfortable currently to do that. So the car is working brilliantly. I tell my team after my last qualification run yesterday that it's such a pleasure to drive this car with such a team because it's simply a great pleasure. And yeah, I cannot wait for my next run. Fingers crossed that still will be good.
We're halfway through the championship now. I've got to ask you, the points are starting to stack up. Do you think that you might be able to take it again this year?
You know, we are here to take it. We are here to win whatever we can. So that's our plan. That's our goal. We didn't came such a long way, you know, to just give up. So we'll try our best and fingers crossed exactly for the best.
Congratulations, Peter, and good luck.
Well, he looks confident. He looks like he's smiling. He said Austria was a tough round for him. He said it was tough to keep the car. The tyre wear over the 2 runs was tough to manage. But I think he's looking more confident than ever here. And you know what? It's stacking up to be a very interesting top 8 as we move along to our next battle. And it's another huge one. It's the last top 16 battle. It's Tor Arne Kvia taking on Juha Poitalaxo. Laxo gets a bye run in the top 32. So he got this new car, but he hasn't chased anyone with it yet. Kvia had it one more time. He's had more track time than anyone at this point to get a feel for the battles. This is going to be a very, very interesting one. It's almost, these guys have been going neck and neck for maybe 4 or 5 years in Drift Masters now. They'll know each other's driving styles. They'll have done plenty of practice runs together, but this is where it means business. Kvia from Norway to lead in Poitalaxo from Finland.
Yeah, here we go. Look at this nice initiation from Tor Arne Kvia as he fires in that Nissan 206 S13. Absolutely flying, but Poitalaxo is right with him on the back bumper. Oh, but he messes up the transition, leaves it late, wheels off circuit. Poitalaxo has to slow the car down. He's up on the wheels on the inside now as Kvia absolutely flies through the circuit into outside zone 8, and you can see Poitalaxo making those mistakes, trying to find the side of that S13, but no success from Juha Poitalaxo. So there we go, Poitalaxo and Tor Arne Kvia. Kvia will be hungry to get this battle done and move forward in competition to get into that great 8. Another chance. Peter Wiańczek, let's take a look back at the replay of this one. You can see Kvia absolutely on it. Absolutely perfect lead line. No mistakes from where I was sitting up here in the tower. All the mistakes coming from Juha Poitalaxo. You can see that transition messed him up, drops wheels off the edge of the circuit as Kvia full commitment down the hill, over, through those zones, deeper than Poitalaxo had. As you can see, little dab of the handbrake as he sets himself up for the outside zone. Full throttle once again, transitions back, hardly touches the handbrake, foot brake absolutely locked solid there as he gets the back end of that car exactly where he wants it, and job done for Tor Arne Kvia. So Poitalaxo now going to have to really think about this one. Really think about what he's going to do in that lead position. He's now in a dangerous place. He knows that Kvia's fast. He knows what Kvia has in the way of tools in the toolbox. And Tor Arne Kvia makes his way back to the start line. A slow drive back for Kvia, been on the radio to the spotters saying, well, was he where we expected him to be? Juha Poitalaxo and Kvia never seen competition before in the Drift Masters European Championship, but Kvia saying he knows Poitalaxo's style, he knows what he's got.
Absolutely, I think from this perspective, he's got the advantage here, Kvia, but he has lost that in the past. But you know, he's got to be careful here in the chase run that he doesn't make some big errors. Juha is a phenomenal lead driver, so he's going to put on a big smoke show here. It's going to be tough for Kvia to handle as Marcin, our Starline Marshal, illuminates those lights, and once they go green, they go. And through the gears up to 70 miles an hour on this initiation. These cars are like drag cars as they pick up speed into that first corner. Kvia goes very tight on initiation, very aggressive from the off, as Poitalaxo does exactly what he advertised. Look at this, Kvia's right with with Poitlasco. Now watch the transition, very tricky to get it right, but it looks like Kvia has got it right on and off the handbrake, very close through the center section. Kvia looking very strong so far as he stays with the Finnish driver through the midsection of the track. Now could Kvia come out of that smoke on the door? Has to do a little bit of work to get there. He's on the inside of the track, but he does a good job and a phenomenal showing from the Norwegian driver.
Wow. What a chase from Torane Kvia. That was incredible.
And you got to remember the speeds these guys are at. This is very knife-edge stuff. You can talk about any circuit around the world you want to talk about, but this is one of the fastest I've ever witnessed. And the guys are inches from each other at top of fourth gear. It's incredible the control they have. You can see Kvia here sitting on the door, going through even better through the inner zone than Poitlasco in the chase position. But a great lead run as well. And you can't have a good chase without a good lead. And Poitlasco doing a great job as he goes to the extremities of the circuit. But Kvia here, I thought he was going to get caught up. Does a good job of staying out of the smoke screen and jumping across that inner curve. Now he loses a little bit of track here, has to dive through, a little bit of a wobble from Kvia, but this is where he comes back through the smoke cloud, sees the door of Poitlasco's car, tries to creep towards it, does a good job. Great stuff from Kvia there.
Look at that wheel up on the curb, jumps the car over that curb, and you can see Poitlasco very close to that curb. Wheel on the white line, and Kvia
probably why Kvia lost a little bit of ground there, just hopping the front of the car, letting it settle.
Yeah, and you can see Kvia looking a little bit uncomfortable in the car there as he jumps it over that curb. Kvia managing to get that car exactly where the judges wanted it, and I'm pretty sure I can see what way this one's going to swing, Dave, but I'm not a judge, I'm just a fan of the sport.
Yeah, we give our opinions, and those opinions obviously count for very little in terms of the results, and a lot of people out there saying we don't know what we're talking about. You'd be absolutely right.
You're right, correct.
So let's see which way it goes. Last spot in the top 8 up for grabs, and it's Kvia getting the win. Torane Kvia moves on to our top 8. A good showing from Juha Poitlasco into the top 16. Brand new car. We'll hopefully see him for the rest of the season in the Finn Fighter. Looking very, very strong. Probably needs a little bit more time just to dial everything in. But Kvia is looking more comfortable than he ever has in his new engine setup. And very, very happy to be going through to the top 8. Well, I'll tell you one thing. From now on in, this is where it gets interesting. You win a battle, you go to the semi-finals, you lose, you are so close to glory. It's time to watch the top 8. So the fans enjoying this one so far. Look at this, it's stacked up. Jack Shanahan will go up against Juha Rintanen. James Dean once again goes up against Connor Shanahan. Connor Shanahan 2-0 against James Dean at this point. McKeever against Cherba, massive battle. And Peter Wiańczyk against Wiańczyk. Peter Wiańczyk against Kvia, and Kvia almost took Wiańczyk down in Austria as well. So a lot of rematches from Austria. Dean against Shanahan and Kvia against Wiańczyk, all repeats. And let's see if those battles go the same way. So if you're joining us at this round in Sweden, you're saying, hey, who are these crazy guys doing all these crazy things in cars? Well, we're halfway through the season. You've missed so much. You can go back and watch it on Red Bull TV. But right now, we're going to give you a reminder of what happened in Mondello and in Austria, because the action came thick and fast. In Ireland, record-breaking crowds, huge pumped-up atmosphere, and sunshine in Ireland, which hasn't happened since the 80s. Massive audience watched an incredible battle between Jack Shanahan and Kevin Quinn as Kevin Quinn went off the track. It was a knife-edge track, and Jack Shanahan did a great job here. Look how close these guys were getting as they were transitioning back. These were the 2 wall runs at the end of the course, looking very sketchy. Oliver Randall, well, he was the standout star, came from the bottom of the pack right up onto the podium as he was taking down driver after driver all the way through the competition. And there was a lot of young guns in there like Max Cotton getting knocked out pretty early on that didn't expect the pace of some of these guys from Eastern Europe, especially Oliver Randall, who looked like he had the car absolutely dialed in the whole way through the competition. Even losing a bumper, right? You know, throwing a bumper like a banana in Mario Kart back at his opponent.
Take that.
Yeah, smashing some walls, and it was a very extreme. I saw the current WRC points leader, Kalle Rovanperä. He, first ever drift competition, got to the top 8 in this incredible Toyota Supra. He went up against Kuba Pszczonski in that top 8, but it was Pszczonski on this occasion with far more experience behind the wheel of a drift car that ended up getting himself the win and eliminating Rovanperä. Rovanperä promising to be back later in the season when his schedule doesn't clash with WRC to take some names here in the Drift Masters European Championship. And what an addition he was at round 1. Pszczonski looked great in that lead run. That wall run from him at the end, enough to seal the deal and take him across the finish line and the win. Pszczonski, again, top 16 or better every round this year, looking very, very strong. Fans loved it, we loved it, and we also love this. James Dean on initiation tagging Kuba Pszczonski's car, and this was an incredible chase run from James Dean in front of his home fans as he went right up onto the door of the Red Bull driver as they transition back to wall. Dean making some big dives. Now watch this as he fires in through. Dean would push him all the way across the finish line. Love this round. Great track, great atmosphere, lots of sun. Fans loved it. And you can see it here as the scores came in. It was James Dean getting the win against Kuba Pszczonski and moving on to the final four at that stage of the competition. Dean had all the fans in his pocket, but so did Jack Shannon until he went off the track. And Oliver Randalou. There was so many gasping mouths in attendance because Jack Shannon expected to go all the way to the final, didn't. And then we got two old friends and two old rivals, Wiańczek and Dean, going at it in the top four. Dean threw absolutely everything at Wiańczek. There was not much more James Dean had in the bank, but Wiańczek so composed and so fast around the circuit, putting on a show for the fans. And then it was the final, Wiańczek against Randalou. This would be history in the making, as an international driver had never won in Mondello Park before. That was over 15 years and 200 tries from international drivers. Well, continuing form, Randalou put on a great run, but Wiańczek far too strong. Wiańczek took the win and was the first ever driver to win on Irish soil. He's almost like an adopted Irish driver as it is, because he's got a lot of fans in Ireland. He was the first driver ever to take it. It was a start to his championship campaign. The local Polish fans showing him all of the support. And as he said, he made history. No other driver had ever done it, and many world champions had tried in Ireland, and he was sort of staking his claim back on the trophy. He'd won in 2021, and he was starting 2022. So here we are, the drivers taking a little cool down break before we go to our top 8, having a little rest. But Ireland was amazing. I'll tell you what else was amazing, was Austria. It was phenomenal. Amazing track, amazing atmosphere, and another heavy set of battles.
This is going to be hot and heavy day here in Austria. Big fire on the back end. Super wide, catches the dirt, completely throws him off circuit.
What a way to kick off our top 8. Dean versus Shannon.
Look at this as James Dean gets onto the back bumper of the 86, but look at Shanahan, he pulls away. No proximity from James Dean as Conor Shanahan starts to drive away from James Dean. Dean on the inside of the circuit, trying to shortcut as he now jumps his car over the curb, goes for the dive across the circuit. Dean knows this is it, he has to make the dive, he goes for it, but Shanahan drives away.
Conor Shannon gets the win and goes to the top 4.
Zalewski goes for it, tags the front wheel on initiation as Diego Correa now shallows up, flicks himself back into it again, but Zalewski's with him the whole way around that top corner as now Diego Correa slows the car down for the hairpin, they get through it. Zalewski looks for the transition, nails it, jumps on the side of that BMW and he's glued. Correa's deep-beated a tyre and goes off circuit and Zalewski goes for the overtake and finishes up the run.
I can't take any more excitement, this is just too much.
Oh, trying to get up in the business of Alex Halovnia through the middle of the track now. Halovnia puts himself in an awkward position and that hurts Kvyat. Kvyat straightens up, shallows up the angle, looks once again for the side of that S15 as they transition onto the wall. A nicer job from Halovnia in that lead position as Kvyat jumps up onto the door across the line.
Two formidable opponents, they're having a lot of fun out on track.
Kvyat's going to the final 4.
It is the final top 8 battle between Wiańczek and Shanahan.
Wow, look at Shanahan, he's closer than anyone's been to the back end of Peter Vincek's S15. Shanahan has the pace to keep up with him. Oh, Shanahan falls off circuit. Shanahan falls off circuit, he cannot hang. Peter Vincek makes it through to the final 4. Very dejected Jack Shanahan ends his weekend there. And Peter says, closer, I'm getting closer.
We are now down to the final 4 competitors. It's the semi-finals.
This is the one for Shanahan as he transitions through. Zalewski keeps it clean. Zalewski's struggling. Zalewski's in trouble. He goes wide. He spins. Shanahan takes it to the wall. Shanahan is going to come across the line. Look at this from Vincek. He's onto the door of Kvyat as Kvyat transitions back, starts to apply the pressure, starts to apply the power, but Vincek is right there. He's onto the side of the car as Kvyat goes for the wall. Vincek finds himself planted onto the door and across the line.
Wow, that's unbelievable from Peter Wiańczek. And now we're about to find out who's going to take top step on the podium.
Oh, and a wobble from Weizsäck. And Shanahan now dials on the angle even more. Weizsäck dials on the angle. As they come down, another wobble for Weizsäck in that chase position. Shanahan fires through that front clipping point as Weizsäck balances that S15 on the front brake. In they go to the second hairpin. They come through. Weizsäck right on the back bumper. Late transition. Weizsäck's messed himself up. He makes a massive error. Now dials on the angle as Weizsäck's desperately trying to catch up with Shanahan. Oh, wow!
What a run. Conor Shanahan wins round 2 of the Drift Masters European Championship, and he's ready to beat everyone for the rest of the year.
Det spørs jo selvfølgelig, altså nå er jo ikke det akkurat som at den er så jævla langvarig, men det spørs jo selvfølgelig om at den faktisk, når finalen er om at den tar den her nede, eller om at det blir sånn, ok, tredjeplassen er annen, og så må det bli podium, det bør å se hvem som vann.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are very welcome to round 3 of the Drift Masters European Championship. Here at Falfors in Sweden is the DRIVECENTER arena, and it's proving to be one of the most technical and sketchy tracks on the calendar. We're heading towards the top 8. The best in the business and the big championship contenders are all in the mix. The drama unfolds in front of our very eyes for the next hour or so. My name is Dave Egan. I'll be talking you through all the action with my friend and colleague, Ian Waddington. Ian, we've watched it all this weekend. Crazy qualifying, rain showers, but now we're down to the top 8. This is the business end of the weekend. Well, I'll tell you one thing, we're halfway through the season, barely, but we have seen some amazing driving. We're here at round 3 in the DRIVECENTER arena, but we move to Riga Latvia on the 29th and 30th of July for Riga, baby, and one of the craziest tracks on the calendar. Round 5 on the 19th and 20th of August, we head to an abandoned mine which has been turned into a race circuit in Ferropolis in Germany. We then head to a crazy finale on the 30th of September and the 1st of October in the Motor Arena in Poland, where we're laying tarmac inside a stadium for these gladiators to fight it out. All that is ahead of us, but right now the drivers will all be looking towards the top 8. But we had some amazing moments in that top 16. Some crazy chase runs, and this man was responsible for one of them. Conor Shanahan putting on a clinic against the local driver, Laurie Heinehan. He was closer than anybody was, at speeds of upward 80 miles per hour. He was holding the throttle, holding the clutch, and not making any errors. And he went right close, up and personal, and got the win. And this is exactly how he did it. Peter Weizsäck, though, well, he's the current and reigning champion, and he was showing that he's got a good grasp of this track as well, as he went up against a very, very slick and informed Felix Lindvall and Tor Arne Kavia, Felix Lindvall, and you know what? He was kind of struggling a little bit in that run, but his outright pace in the lead run was too hot to handle for Lindvall, and he made his way to the top 8. Well, this is how it's lining up for all of us here this evening. We've got Jack Shanahan going up against Juha Rintanen, two of the fastest drivers on this track. Shanahan, the highest qualifier with a 99 score. James Dean and Conor Shanahan, the master and the apprentice, have a rematch, but it was Shanahan who got the better of Dean in Austria. Will it be the same here? Well, Dean will have a lot to say about that. Dwayne McKeever returning to form, just like Benediktas Čurba is, because Benediktas Čurba had a massive crash 2 weeks ago, fixed the car, came back from Lithuania, and he is all smiles, and he'll be ready for McKeever. Peter Weizsäck, the championship leader, the reigning champion, goes up against a very angry Tor Arne Kavia, who thought he could have had his number in Austria. But as far as I'm concerned, this track could also be a player in the top 8. It's demanding, it's technical, it's fast, and we're going to have a quick look at that now. This is what the lead driver is going to be expected to do in all of these battles. Here in Falfors in Sweden, the track has 2 deceleration zones, 6 outer zones and 2 inner zones. It's 640 meters long, which goes by in a heartbeat when you're driving cars this fast. Off the start line, well, it's up to 4th gear, 80 mile an hour, throw it into the first corner, into outer zone 1. Foot to the floor, bring the nose of the car in, keep it balanced through inner zone 2, and then push right to the edge of the circuit on outer zone 3. Tricky transition to outer zone 4, and then a little bit of deceleration as the track tightens up into inner zone 5. You can see Dwayne McKeever here expertly negotiating the track. And then it's a big switch on an unnatural corner towards outer zone 7. Use the angle to slow yourself down. Get it wrong, well, you're going to be Oliver Randall. You're going to go off the edge of the circuit and make a big error and count yourself out of the run. Get it right, you're like Kuba Pashkovsky, chilling, putting 2 wheels into that outer zone, keeping foot to the floor, running up along that concrete wall, and the judges are all smiles. That's what's expected from the lead car. The chase car, well, he's got to mirror that lead car, get up close and personal, and make sure that it doesn't make any contact. That's how it works. That's the grid. That's the track. But now it's time for the action. Let's kick it off. It's time for our top 8. Well, we hope that you're sitting comfortably, because in a moment you won't be. You'll be on the edge of your seat, because Rintanen and Shanahan are about to head into their top 8 battle. Jack Shanahan chasing down some more points for that championship. He wants the win here. He hasn't had a win yet this season, but he's got to go through a very on-form Finnish driver in Juha Rintanen. Rintanen said he never drove as well as he did in that top 16, but he's going to need to turn it up to 11 to take down the in-form and highest qualifier Shanahan. Doors closed, engines on. Here we go.
Well, here we go. Cars sliding to gears. You can see the back ends of those cars dip down, the tyres spin as they come off the line. Through the chicane goes Shanahan in that lead position. Juha Rintanen chasing him down now. Fires through into that initiation. Juha Rintanen will know Shanahan's the fastest man on the circuit, but Juha Rintanen isn't short of a few hundred horsepower as he transitions on the back bumper, gets himself lost. He's going to go for a little dive down the inside. He has to brake and slow down. That's going to mess him up massively. Shanahan puts foot to floor, tries to drive away as Juha Rintanen once again gets lost in the smoke. Rintanen dials on the angle in outside zone 8 across the line, and Rintanen gets left with his jaw on the floor.
Yeah, he was watching Jack Shanahan like the rest of us going, how is this boy going so fast through this track? Shanahan using the extremities of the track, doing exactly what the judges explained to him in briefing. Stay wide, fill all those zones, and it shows us exactly why he got that 99-point qualifying run. Right to the edge of the circuit here on initiation. Juha Rintanen, well, he tries to hang with the young Irishman, but he cuts the course quite a bit to stay with him, gets lost a little bit in the smoke, and right here, you're feeling confident for the Finnish driver. However, when Shanahan transitions at such speed, Rintanen goes way too wide. He has to narrow the angle then down to this first corner, and of course, he's got to slow the front of the car, meaning Shanahan is accelerating, he's decelerating, and all of a sudden you see some mistakes start to creep in. Watch this one from Juha Rintanen. Has a little bit of a wobble and a straighten up, has to go back on the handbrake. Again, losing momentum and allowing Shanahan to pour off into the distance.
Well, Shanahan putting down a masterclass there. Shallow on outside zone 8, but nevertheless, he did have the speed and he did have the pace to drive away from Juha Rintanen. Juha Rintanen making all those mistakes in that chase position. And well, now we're going to swap them around. And Shanahan will have to chase down Rintanen. Look at these shots inside the car, full throttle, flying through this circuit. Jack Shanahan looking absolutely dialed, but they're back on the line. Juha Rintanen now to lead. Jack Shanahan to give chase. Shanahan hangs back, looking for a little run-in as Juha Rittenen's car just given a quick once-over by our start line Marshall Martin. He presses the button. We wait for that bottom light to go green, and these two guys will be off the line. Here we go, in gear, door slammed shut. Shanahan starts to creep already. He knows Rittenen's not got a slow car. He knows he's fast. He knows he is faster though. Look at this, onto the back bumper goes Shanahan. The car dips down on the foot brake. And Shanahan noses that GTA E6 up on the inside of the S15. Shanahan right with Juha Rintanen. Lovely transition from both of them as they come flying past down in front of the grandstand. Rintanen looking on an absolute flyer, but he cannot shake Jack Shanahan right now, but Shanahan made a mistake, gets left in a cloud of smoke as Juha Rintanen sticks it to the wall.
Oh, it swung back the other way very quickly in the midsection there as Juha Rintanen put on the smoke show. And you can see the fans here absolutely loving the action, especially the Finnish fans, as we're their heroes on track, giving it to one of the best in the business, Jack Shanahan. And you know what? The Scandinavian driver is taking a little bit of energy from that crowd and using it to their advantage. Shanahan, let's watch this on the replay, does a great job on the first corner, gets on the inside, and gives himself a clear line of sight by taking the corner a little shallower than Rintanen. Now, as they come through here, Rintanen does a good job of getting to the excellent edge of the track. Rintanen very fast through this section and caught Shanahan off guard a little bit, but he does a good job. Now, this is where Jack Shanahan has a little bit of trouble. As he comes through here, I think he gets blinded a little bit on the transition. As they transition back, Shanahan's there. He's got to back off. I think he's going to make contact with Rintonen, and he loses a couple of car lengths. Now he's got to come through a big smoke cloud. Does a good job of it, though, and doesn't make very many errors there, as Rintonen takes it right to the edge of the track, and Shanahan is right there. These are two guys right at the peak of their powers. Incredible talent and incredible skill. You got to remember, they're drifting cars here that have better power to weight ratios than most motorsport cars in the world. They're unlimited in terms of weight and power, which is unheard of in the motorsport world. These cars are doing 0 to 60 in 3 seconds or less, and these guys are driving them sideways. Well, who's going to go through to our first semi-final? Rintonen and Shanahan not confident either. There you can see hands in the air, nervous body language to see who's gone through. Judges have made their decision, and going through to the top 4 is Jack Shanahan. Jack Shanahan goes through to the top 4. You can see what it means to him. He was all emotions in the pits earlier on. Car not working. He was getting a little bit frustrated. Now things seem to be coming around nicely. We're going to go quickly back to you, Kevin. Kevin, a close battle between two heavyweights of European drifting.
Yeah, it was quite a close battle, but again, when you break it down by lead to lead and chase to chase, I think that Jack had the better of both of them, to be honest. You compare Jack's lead, he was on the qualifying line quite nicely, but then Juha's, unfortunately, was very tight on the first corner, a little bit offline, especially on that inner zone, which we said was very important. And then again, coming towards the final corner, he really messed up that transition, which in turn then messed up Jack's chase run. For Jack, I think he did the best a chase run that he could with Juha's lead line. It was quite difficult to chase in places, but he had a nice amount of proximity, whereas Juha had a very, very big error on the first transition as well. So over the 2 runs, Jack having a sizable advantage.
So you have it, one Shanahan through, and the other Shanahan goes up against his own mentor. Take it back a couple of years, and James Dean was showing Conor Shanahan how to throw a car around a grass field. Well, here we are at the top level of European drifting, and James Dean seems to have a nemesis because he has not beaten Conor Shanahan in competition over the last 4 or 5 years. They've met twice. Conor Shanahan has 2 wins. The first in Poland years ago announced Conor Shanahan onto the world scene. Just previously, 2 weeks in Austria, he beat his mentor again. James Dean, higher qualifier, will lead him in. Shanahan's going to have to throw everything at him again here.
Yeah, James Dean now want to take down his nemesis, and look at this as Dean fires in on big angle. Shanahan didn't expect that one. You can see him shallow up that GT86, but he's slowing the car down behind to hang with him. Oh, and a big wobble from Shanahan as he now chases James Dean down into that second inner zone. Shanahan all over the side of James Dean's S14.9 as he fires through the smoke. Dean on an incredible lead line, wheels to the edge of the circuit, but Shanahan is there.
Wow, good stuff from Conor Shanahan, but what was that lead run from James Dean? More angle, more smoke, and more excitement than I've seen from any lead run this weekend, and I include Jack Shanahan's 99-point run. Dean seems so confident on the edge on this circuit. Shanahan makes a little error on entry here for me. Shallow entry in the middle of the circuit. He didn't expect James Dean to throw such a dramatic flick into that first corner, and Shanahan does great here. Look how close he is on the transition, but as he transitions back, he loses a little bit of ground and he's in the smoke. You can see Shanahan adjusting the car, wobbling a little bit and sacrificing some of those zones. James Dean, watch this transition here. Absolutely full throttle, on big angle, using the angle to slow the car down, which unsettles Shanahan, but does allow him to get a bit more proximity and allow him back into the battle. Excellent from Dean, excellent from Shanahan. It's going to come down to the second half of this one.
Well, I think James Dean just put Conor Shanahan on the ropes a little bit there.
And you know what? He's been thinking, he's been saying, hey buddy, I thought you a lot, I might not have thought you everything. And James Dean, who is one of the most decorated drivers in the history of the sport, he's a multiple US, European, Guinness Book of World Records holder, he's done it all. But he doesn't want a guy that lives 1 kilometer away from him, who's, you know, a little bit younger than him, to come and steal all his glory. He's beaten him in Austria, Conor Shanahan, but right now it looks like Conor Shanahan may have a disadvantage here against James Dean. But James Dean is now in the chase position, and Conor Shanahan's car is incredibly fast. Conor drives with that fast style. Dean's driving with that big angle style. He's going to have to adapt to Conor Shanahan here.
Yeah, he certainly is. Look at this. Conor Shanahan's mechanic actually cooling down James Dean's car for him.
And that's what I love about this sport. Shanahan's team cooling down the opponent. Where are you going to get this in motorsport? Only in drifting, between 2 neighbors, 2 friends, 2 wily competitors, 2 guys that want to sit top of the championship leaderboard. Well, it all comes down to the next 50 seconds when they put it into gear and come off the line. Dean will have to go close to Shanahan, and he's going to have to put everything he can into this run.
He certainly is. Well, here we go. Shanahan to lead. He must feel nervous now, knowing there was a few wobbles in that chase. It wasn't the cleanest from Shanahan, and he knows that Dean laid down an unbelievably good lead line. Now, Shanahan fires in. James Dean bobbles that car up and down. The front wheel lifts off the tarmac. Dean starts to lose a little ground to Shanahan, but he's on the foot brake. Dean with an insane transition. Goes for the door. He's wheel to wheel down the hill. This is closer than we've seen anyone before as Dean bursts through the smoke in front of the grandstand. He's closer than we've seen anyone all the way around the circuit as Dean parks that S15 on the door and says, job done.
Unbelievable. That's one of the best chase runs I've ever seen in my life. On this track where it doesn't allow the chase driver that much opportunity to get on the door, that is the best driving we've seen this weekend from James Dean. He did everything he absolutely could to stay in this. I think he took a chance here on the transition. There's no way James Dean would have known this was going to work. He starts to lose Shanahan. Now watch Dean's transition. Full throttle, fires up the inside and just says, I'm going to pin it to his door. Does a great job here throughout the whole course. And again, as you mentioned, nobody's done transitions like this so far. He fires through full throttle. Look at this, braking from Shanahan, no braking from Dean. Goes up onto the door, times the transition perfectly, and I think it was a statement of intent to the youngster across the line. He didn't need to push him, but he did push him to remind him who he is and how good he is. Dean with a clinic.
I mean, that was unbelievable from James Dean. He parked the front wheel on the door and just pinched Shanahan on the wall and said, I am right here. You are not escaping me. Unbelievable. Look at this as they're out of the car. James Dean with the biggest smile on his face, the grandstand on their feet, applauding these drivers. Well, this one comes down to a tough decision from our judging panel.
Yeah, you know, as far as they're having a talk about this one, and I know it's going to come down to a lot of technical stuff because they want to have a look at Conor Shanahan's chase, which was a very good chase run as well. And I'm just looking at it here. Conor's sacrificing a good bit of the track. So is James Dean. Proximity-wise, you know what? Very close for both, if you think about it. Was it closer from Dean? That's the question.
It was closer from Dean. Dean's chase was a lot closer. It was cleaner, a lot cleaner.
A lot of smiles all around. You know what? Even if either goes out here, it's been a phenomenal battle, but someone's got to win it, and it's going to be James Dean getting the win and going through to the final four. Well, that's 2 to Conor Shanahan, now 1 to James Dean, if you're keeping score between Master and Apprentice. And James Dean, you can see the relief on his face of getting back into that top 4 after, you know, in Austria, went out top 8, not what he wanted. Now he's sitting back into a comfortable position. He's going to be all smiles as he heads back into that Nissan S14. And you know what? I've seen him struggle a little bit this year. He looks very confident right now. He's a man I wouldn't like to be going up against. And look at these 2 neighbours from Ireland having a little bit of fun in front of the local crowd here. James Dean back in business.
Yeah, he certainly is back in business, Dave. I mean, look, we thought he could have been on the ropes with Conor Shanahan. He was the kryptonite, but he took him down. And James Dean now, look, you're not going to wipe that smile off his face for a good few hours. And as you say, heads into the final 4, Dave. But I know who he's facing off against, but we'll save that information for a few moments' time because we've still got some juicy battles to go. And this one, well, it's as juicy as a best steak on a Friday night.
Wow.
Dwayne McKeever, Benedictus Cherba.
This is like fantasy drifting right now. If you were to pick names out of a hat and say, I would love to see Dwayne McKeever against Benedictus Cherba on one of the fastest tracks in Europe. Oh, here we are.
Here we go.
We deliver. Once again at the Drift Masters European Championship. McKeever, to be honest right now, looks like he is on rails. But Cherba, well, he's riding that positivity now. He's got nothing to lose here as he throws in behind the Northern Ireland driver.
Yeah, look at this Cherba though, a little bit slack on that run in. It didn't seem like he had the pace to hang with Dwayne McKeever, but now answers my question with a big exclamation mark and says, I definitely do have the pace. And he come down the hill. You can see McKeever barely lifted off the throttle, a little dab of the handbrake as he comes into the outside zone. Cherba holding back now, goes for the kill move, goes for the dive, gets up onto the door and absolutely nails him.
Well, this is just turning into a spectacle right now. The heat's been turned up. And Dwayne McKeever, another flawless lead run. He looks so comfortable on this track, and the car set up perfectly for it. However, Cherba, you said it, a little slack on entry, right back in it from the, like he had a bit too much angle for me coming in, but he dials it off nicely through that first corner and starts to creep up onto the door of Dwayne McKeever's 180SX. And right here, he's very, very close through here. However, He has to do a little bit of an early transition, which messes him up a little bit, means he's on the inside of the track, he's got to extend it with the handbrake, allows McKeever that little time to get back on the throttle early, and from there, Chirba has to do a couple of dives through the center of the course to get back into it. Watch this midsection, McKeever absolutely flawless, filling every single outer zone, and then Chirba says, oh, hold on a minute, I need to do a bit of chasing here. So he fires through the smoke, goes up onto Dwayne McKeever's door, and you see two of the best in the business at full tilt coming across the line. Beautiful scenes here in Sweden.
Wow, unbelievable, unbelievable. Benedictus Chirba gets himself in and out of the fight multiple times in that first half of the run. Well, now they go back to the start line, and Dwayne McKeever has to do the same. Has to stick it to the door.
Got to put in a good chaser. Got to put a good chase in.
Look, Benedictus Chirba's been turning it up to 11 when he's coming to the lead runs. Kind of get them lead runs dialed. I think he's lacking maybe a little bit of pace on the run-in. Maybe he's a little bit nervous about getting too close and causing contact on initiation. Benedictus Chirba, though, when he's in that lead position, he dials it in. It's absolutely turned on. But McKeever is unbelievable in the chase. Doors open, getting some fresh air before he slams it closed.
This is going to be big. This is going to be a big run from McKeever here because he knows how good Chirba is. He also can trust him because he knows he's going to be fast and fluid. Look at this, McKeever's edging off the line before the lead car. He's going for it here.
He certainly is. Look at this. Now McKeever flying through the gears. Now he starts to lose a little bit of pace. Benedictus Chirba goes for that big flick on initiation, gets it dialed in. We absolutely lose McKeever in the smoke, and it's even Stevens at the moment. Early transition for Dwayne McKeever as Benedictus Chirba fires down, but now Dwayne McKeever finds the door of that BMW E92 as they come in to that outside zone in front of the grandstand. They fire back. McKeever gets lost once again in the smoke. Can he get close? He certainly can. Throws the back end to the BMW.
Just kind of push the back end into Benedictus Chirba's car across the line. Two phenomenal runs from these guys. I could watch these guys drive all day. We're so privileged to be watching these guys at this level of their career, putting on runs that we never thought were possible in European drifting. At the level of speed and commitment they're at now, it's just phenomenal. McKeever, I think the transition here wouldn't have been my choice. He went a little bit too early on the transition and he had to play a little bit of catch-up, but he caught him up nicely just as they came to the edge of the hairpin. Chirba locks up on the decel and McKeever's right there. Chirba missing that inner zone as well. So from a lead perspective, missing 2 zones in a row there. Almost 3 zones in a row. So if you look at Chirba, he's fast through the course, but he's missing a lot of that qualifying line, which the judges will penalise him for. What they don't want to see is a driver going through the track too fast without actually, you know, from my perspective anyway, giving the chase driver a fair, you know, chance to get there. Watch this. I think he misses 3 zones in a row there.
Yeah, I think he does as well. From you know, alternative camera angles, from where we're looking, it looks spectacular, but there is a judging criteria, and these two guys having some fun this weekend.
Well, it's going to be for a spot in the top 4 here. A semi-final would be an amazing comeback for either of these drivers after a poor round in Austria by their regards. Let's see which way the judges go. It's going to be Dwayne McKeever. Dwayne McKeever gets the win and goes to the final 4. Dwayne McKeever's into that final 4. You know what? He's all smiles, looking comfortable, looking very, very happy. Kevin, back to you. Were we right in, you know, when Chirba was kind of cutting the course a little bit there in the lead run?
Yeah, absolutely. It really comes down to mistakes and missing those zones. That's something that Chirba did both in his lead and his chase. Something that we're really trying to discourage. Dwayne on his lead run, very, very clean, very nice, and hitting all of those zones. Chirba, unfortunately, not missing several of those outer zones. And then in the chase position as well. While Dwayne had a couple of small bobbles and a little bit of errors, he definitely had far more proximity than Chirba overall. So over both lead and chase, we think Dwayne took the win.
There you have it. He moves through to the final 4. Don't miss those outer zones. Advice from the man who's making all the decisions, Kevin O'Connell. We go back to the start line. Kvia taking about an 45 feet run in here behind Peter Wiańczek. What is he planning here? Wiańczek in the lead position, Kvia in the chase. Is the final top 4 space up for grabs, and Kvia knows the pace of Wiańczek going into that first corner, so Kvia is going to take off like a rocket here.
Well, this is for the redemption. These two guys battled it out in Austria. Kvia having mechanical failure, didn't get the job done. Now Kvia looking for that turn of fate, looking for that redemption. He knows what Wiańczek's got. Has he got what he needs?
Here we go. Kvia fires in behind. Oh, early initiation, very early from Kvia. Got it wrong, and he's got to recover from that as they come through that first section. Kvia's lost a lot of ground here already. He's got to dive through the course. He is diving through the course at full speed. Wiańczek so fast through here. No decel from Wiańczek, but Kvyat is right back up with him now as they head towards the last section. He's got to come through that smoke like an arrow, and he does. Can he get up onto the door? Just about gets close to Wiańczek through the last corner. Stays in the fight for Wiańczek, looking super strong out front.
Wow. That lead line from Peter is unbelievable.
Who can stop it? Who can stop it? He's not decelerating. I did a little graphic here at the start that said there was 2 decel zones. Can someone please notify Peter Wiańczek of those? Because he is completely ignoring them.
Forget that. If it wasn't for the mistake on initiation from Kvyat, I'm going to go out there on a limb and say he would have been glued to Wiańczek the whole way, because he has the pace. He reels him back in throughout the run. Yeah, he's shortcutting here and there, but look, he's still got the pace. He's still, when he gets there, matches the outside zones. He's still on the rear quarter, and he does get the job done. I think Kvyat, if it wasn't for that mistake, this would have been an even closer battle.
Yeah, I think he probably built it up in his head that he had to be so aggressive on entry. He made an error, and then that split-second decision-making, the rest of the run was as a result of that. He'd lost that ground at the first corner, and how do you gain it against someone who's so fast and precise like Peter Wiańczek? Wiańczek, you don't want to give him any inch because he'll take a mile, because that's what happens in all these battles. You make one error against him and he punishes you. And I think that's what happened to Kvyat there. He went in so hot into that first corner that he kind of wobbled and bobbled in, and Wiańczek just did what he did all day, just pours the smoke on, pours the speed on, and he got through all those outer zones. We'll switch him around. Now, anything can happen. We get halfway through a battle, and often Ian and I will sit here in the tower and say, well, this looks like it's all wrapped up. And the Drift Masters European Championship throws a spanner in the works. So never take your eye off it, because there is 2 halves to every battle, and we're about to see 50% of this one come off the line now as Kvyat goes into the lead position. The pride of Norway against the pride of Poland in Peter Wiańczek. Wiańczek climbing closer and closer to the podium once again, but Kvyat would like to upset the party as he heads into the lead position. Here we go. Wiańczek to chase in Kvyat up to 70 miles an hour, and you can tell Wiańczek very hungry to get on the door.
He certainly is. Look at this as he comes through, down through the gears, and this time Kvyat, no mistakes on initiation, gets it absolutely pinpoint perfect, dials on the smoke, and you can see Wiańczek in the background all over the back bumper and side of that S13. They come down, and Kvyat now plays the same game with Peter Wiańczek, says we don't need brakes, we're just going to go full speed as Wiańczek gets close up on the door. Oh! Wiańczek makes a huge mistake and takes Kvyat off track.
Did I just see what happened? Did Wiańczek just come through the smoke and hit Kvyat? This is a bombshell.
Lost for words.
Just when I was about to jump across you, Ian, and say, job done, Peter Wiańczek, Kvyat's in the gravel. Wiańczek is coming over to see if he's okay. Did Wiańczek dive through the smoke and take out Kvyat? Is that what's happened?
I think Peter mistimed the transition. He did what a lot of drivers were doing earlier on. When the lead car goes for the wide transition to outside zone 8, I think Peter transitioned too quick, got himself on the inside, accelerated across the circuit.
Hold on. Why is Kvyat under the front of the car? Did Kvyat shut down? Did something happen? I mean, you were thinking, Ian, I didn't want you to hurt yourself, but what I'm saying is...
Hurts all the time, Dave.
Just don't try too much of it. We'll try and figure this out on the replay.
The drone is going to show us what we need to know.
That's what I think, because I'm not sure. Did Kvyat shut down, or did Wiańczek make the dive and get it all wrong? We're about to find out. You can make your own judgments, but Kvyat's on full tilt there as they transition back. Goes through the outer zone. Wiańczek gets caught on angle. Kvyat transitions back. Oh, he's way too ahead of him there by the looks of it.
Exactly what I thought Peter done is what Peter did. He transitioned at the wrong time, and he took, look, because you can see Kvyat's still on power.
I'll tell you what's happened. He's hit the front wheel of Kvyat's car with the back wheel of his car, and that's what Kvyat was checking. That's what Kvyat was checking.
But Peter mistimed the transition in the smoke. Look, he overtook him. He was on the inside. Peter, for the first time, has got lost in tyre smoke.
It's usually him blinding everyone else.
Normally it's him blinding everyone else. Wow. Is all I have to say right now, Dave.
I'm going to rewind people back here to the start of this run. When I said something like, never take your eyes off it, anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
It can switch the other way. Well, I think we've proved our point that there is nothing predictable in the Drift Masters European Championship.
It's suspension damage, 100%. These cars, they cut away the inner arches so that they can let the cool air flow through. They can also access the suspension from the engine bay easily. Kvyat's on the radio to the team right now. He's got a mega team, and he's on the radio saying, I need a coilover, a hub, I need a lower arm, I need a steering arm. And Peter Vincek, I tell you right now, will be heartbroken that he did that to Kvyat. But is that redemption from the mechanical failure of Kvyat in Austria? Is this championship fixed or run by witchcraft?
I'm telling you one thing, it's an emotional roller coaster, I'll give it that. So Kvyat should go to get his result here, but he's actually stalling because he wants to get the people in the pits ready to be able to fix this, to see if they've got parts to put the suspension back on that car, because Johnny Scoops is back. He's going to take Kvyat's car back into the pits, which is just behind those banners you see there on the track. So he's not far away from his pits. Wiańczek stands there, the shake of the head.
His head. He knows.
He is devastated right now because, to be honest, up until that very last moment, he had that battle in the bag.
It done. It was done. It was done. And
the results are coming in. Is it going to be official from the judges? And it is. Tor Arne Kvyat eliminates the current and reigning champion, Peter Wiańczek. And he goes into the final four, and the championship just gets blown wide open. Kevin O'Connell, we watched a couple of guys do this on the last corner. This is a dangerous part of the track with the smoke to get the timing right.
It absolutely is, Dave. It really is a nail-biting moment there for the chase driver, because there's so much smoke and so much acceleration. Once the lead driver comes off that deceleration zone, you're waiting in that chase position just to make that dive. And for a couple of seconds, you're completely blind. What we had to really do there was analyze whether there was any slowing from Tor, whether he was on the correct line, and in our opinion, he absolutely was. It looks like Peter just was waiting for that split second too long, transitioned a little bit too early, and came in like a bat out of hell and went straight into the door of Tor, unfortunately, and sent him straight off track. So in our opinion, that was 100% Peter's fault, and Tor gets the win.
Well, we are set up for a very, very interesting top four. Jack Shanahan will go up against his neighbour James Dean on one side of the bracket, and on the other, Dwayne McKeever will go up against, well, Tor Arne Kvyat, who's now being scooped out of the arena to try and get his car fixed. Let's have a look at this. Ian, you noted something very interesting. James Dean, the only driver in the top four to be on a podium this season. So the championship order is going to get mixed up royally here.
And you know how royally it's going to get messed up? Well, that's because Connor and Peter have both gone out in the Great 8. So now those really tight points, that really tight championship, throw it in the bin, because it's all about to change.
If you're Jack Shanahan or James Dean, if you win this event right now, you're right back in the mix at the halfway point of the season.
Even Kvyat, because he's in the championship hunt, he may be P4, P5, he is still there. He said to me, this is only round 3, we've still got 3 more rounds to go. I can still make big moves in the championship.
And if
Could today be the day?
And if you're Dwayne McKeever, you had a bad round in Austria, but you were top 8 in round 1. You're back into the mix of the top 5 of the championship after a pretty poor performance 2 weeks ago. So every one of these 4 drivers has an opportunity now to jump into 3rd, 2nd place in the championship and be right on the heels of Peter Wiańczek heading into the second half of the season. Is it scripted? I don't even think I'd believe it if it was. That's the weirdness of this.
You couldn't make it up. You couldn't even force this. Well, here we go. We're no messing around. We're back down on the back end of the grid.
We got the emotional fortitude to go through the rest of this, because there's going to be a lot of craziness from here on out.
Dave, you're going to have to find some somewhere, crack open a can of Red Bull and get some in you, because we are going to need it today. Here we go. Shanahan versus Dean. Well, he's already taken down one Shanahan. Now he's got to do it all over again, but this time he's got to take down the guy that was the fastest, the cleanest, the best man around this circuit yesterday.
Well, I'll put it one way. These guys have battled a lot. If you want to split who's won more, I'm thinking you're down the middle. Jack Shanahan has beaten James Dean in his national series. Jack Shanahan's been beaten by James Dean in Europe and national. We are set up for an incredible finale here in Falfors in Sweden. Don't go anywhere. It's time for the final 4. Ladies and gentlemen, we started with 59 drivers from 23 countries this weekend on a brand new circuit that's never been used for drifting before. 24 hours of sunlight all day, every day. It's been taking its toll on the teams, but it hasn't taken its toll on the driving, because we head to the final 4 with 2 men who have lots of accolades. James Dean, US champion, European champion, Irish champion. Jack Shanahan, Irish champion, multiple UK champion, multiple podiums in Europe. They live 1 kilometre from each other in a small town in Ireland, but right now they're going to want to be even closer than that in this battle, as it is James Dean chasing in Jack Shanahan. We've seen this battle many times before, so if you want to set your record button, now is the time to do it, because they're going to put on a show here. Shanahan and Dean for a spot in the final. Here we go.
Well, we wait for those lights to illuminate amber and we look for that bottom light to go green. They get the thumbs up, the doors slam shut. The cars go into gear and Kvyat, well, he looks on to see who he could potentially face in the final. Here we go, through, down they come. Dean on the back bumper of Shanahan's 86. He dials in up onto the rear wheel as Shanahan puts foot to floor, tries to drive away, but James Dean seems an unbeatable task this weekend as he comes down on the foot brake, holding onto it. Oh, and he's washing off the circuit. Just about keeps it together. Oh, Dean goes wide. Dean cannot hang. Lost in the smoke. Once again, another driver falls foul to the smoke screen as Shanahan takes him across the line.
Wow. I don't say this too often, but James Dean making an error through the edge of that circuit. It looked like he washed wide, had to make evasive action to not go off into the gravel. Shanahan is flying through that circuit. Well, we'll have a look at the replay, but this is very knife-edge stuff. As they go into that first corner, Shanahan puts on a smoke show. Dean stays with him. Nice pace through the first corner, but as he starts to lose him, Dean makes a very early transition here, as you can see, on the inside curb, trying to catch up with Shanahan. Can't get it done. Now, watch the rear of Dean's car. He washes past Shanahan at this point of the circuit. Washes very, very wide. Almost goes off the circuit. Has to dial it off. Bounces across the circuit. That's a big error from James Dean in the chase, and he goes off, loses where he is on the circuit, and when he can see again, Shanahan is up and gone.
Wow, so there we go, a massive mistake from James Dean in that chase position. And I'm wondering, is that car 110%? Took a few hits, a few beats and bashes over this weekend.
We did hear, word from Top 32 that the clutch in James Dean's car was giving issues. They were working on it. I'm not saying that's the issue here, but it looked to me like as he came through that hairpin, he just couldn't get the power down to get back out of that corner. Jack Shanahan, no such issues. He was having issues with the car earlier as well, but that car is absolutely flying now, and you can see his one of his mechanics on the team, Liam there, who was actually in charge of putting down a lot of the concrete here last night. He helped the local team, one of the Shanahan crew, to get all that extra piece of concrete to save the drivers breaking wheels and debeating off the edge of the circuit. And now Liam cooling down that GT86 to make sure that it's ready for battle action against James Dean. And from my perspective right now, James Dean's going to know he's coming in here at a huge disadvantage, and he's in the lead position, so there's not a whole lot he can do about it.
No, there's not a lot he can do about it, really. He needs to just lay down a clinical lead line and hope that maybe Shanahan has issues in the chase position. James pulls to the line, and we can see scenes down there from in the paddock of Kvyat's team getting that car repaired. That is the hot pits just behind where all the officers are.
Look at the body language of Kvyat. He's nervous here. He's very nervous. They're trying to get this car back going again. He's got suspension damage. He wants to get out on the grid against Dwayne McKeever. He's got a couple of minutes to get it done. The team frantically trying to change front and rear tires and wheels at the same time. And we go back to the start line where Dean and Shanahan will continue the second half of this battle. Dean at a big disadvantage. Shanahan in the chase position. He's got to nail it to Dean's door here, and he's going through to his first final of the year. But easier said than done.
Easier said than done. And well, we wait for the thumbs up. Look at that, Shanahan holding back on that line. He's been doing this all weekend. It's a new tactic here at Drift Masters, guys. Just hanging back and letting them creep through that start line. They can creep in that chase position, and there we go. Shanahan starts to creep now, gets the pace, starts building up the momentum as he tries to chase down Dean. Dean goes for a wild initiation, and Shanahan mirrors it absolutely perfect. He's glued to James Dean. They come full throttle through that first turn. Dean and Shanahan transition almost symmetrical as Shanahan is glued to Dean's door. Look at this from Jack Shanahan. He is unbelievable. Through the smoke he comes, up onto the door of James Dean's S14, and Dean says, wow.
I was about to think of it. How do you win a battle from the lead position? Well, James Dean tried. He's through the most ridiculous edge. The car wheelied the wrong direction on initiation, and Shanahan stuck with it. He tried to pull 90 degrees into the first hairpin. Shanahan stuck with it. That was a tough lead run to chase with all that angle, and Shanahan made it look easy.
Look at this. James Dean, unbelievable. That lead line was phenomenal, but Shanahan mirrored it. Look at the angle, and Shanahan just says, well, you do your thing, and then I'm going to get back into the show.
I mean, James has been in more battles probably than anybody on the grid, right? That's probably a fair statement at this point. Considering how good he is, he's always in more than anyone else. He could only try and throw massive angle at every corner. That's totally legal, he's allowed to do that. But Shanahan could have got caught at any corner there. And right at the end, he smashes Dean's door and says, look, we're good friends, but I need a podium here, so see you later, buddy. And I think Jack Shanahan, regardless of the outcome in the final, has guaranteed himself a trophy today. James Dean said, I threw everything I could at that, but what more could I do? You were on me right from the start. Jack Shanahan and James Dean, two neighbours, two friends behind the scenes, and you know what? Now one of these guys is going to go to the final. One's going to go to the 3rd and 4th place playoff, but going to the final is Jack Shanahan. Jack Shanahan gets the win and goes to the final here at round 3 of the Drift Masters European Championship. And you know what? It's been very interesting that Conor Shanahan eliminated by James Dean, and then Jack Shanahan gets a little revenge and eliminates James Dean, and it's just... You love the stories as they come along, and the big story right now is going to be Dwayne McKeever and Kvyat. Can Kvyat get that car ready in time for his battle for the Final Four? Because Kvyat's had more trouble fighting his own car than the other competitors this year, and it seems to be the tail of the tape for him. But Jack Shanahan is in the final. Who will join him? Will it be McKeever, someone he's battled many times before, or will it be Kvyat to split the Irish on the podium and say, no, I need a bit of luck here, guys. I've been doing this for years, and the car breaks down or falls apart every single time. In Austria, had Wiańcek on the road, car shuts down. You can see Conor Shanahan in under Kvyat's car. Everybody wants to get Kvyat back out on the track, and that's what makes drifting so much more unique than everything else, is the fact that they want each other's competitors to go. And you can see Dwayne McKeever waiting patiently to see if his competitor will come. And you know what? McKeever wants Kvyat there. McKeever wants Kvyat on the track. He wants him there. He says, bring it on. I'm taking them all on. Don't you give me a bye run. I want to take on Kvyat, and I want to win this one fair and square and go to the final against Jack Shanahan. I don't want any easy battles here. You can see the Shanahan team, all the teams starting to get under Kvyat's car. They're starting to put the wheel back on. This is looking good right now, Ian. The wheel is going back on the front of the car, but time is ticking away.
It certainly is ticking away. There's a little bit of promise here, Dave, that we could see Kvyat back on the line. And as you say, McKeever will want to battle Kvyat. He'll want to take him down in a fair battle. He won't want to buy a run. He won't want to just fluke this and win it in any other way. He'll want to do the damage. He'll want to prove to everyone watching online, everyone sitting in that grandstand, he is the man to beat. And right now, he is equally as fast, has the good line as Jack Shanahan.
Well, you know what? Kvyat, if he gets this car going, which he's never been able to do, he always seems to bow out on a mechanical, and that's the end of that. If he gets this car going, he is going to be pumped here. He's going up against McKeever. He knows McKeever is absolutely flying. You can see McKeever getting a little hug to the start line marshal there, saying, I want this Norwegian guy on the line right now. He wants to go toe-to-toe here.
Yeah, he certainly does. Look at this now. The team's starting to really panic, starting frantic moves. You can see the back end's already on the floor. Off of those axle stands, the side skirt gets a few zip ties, cosmetics to hold it together. Look at this now. They start to try and align it. These plates used with 2 tape measures to align the front wheels. Shanahan in there. He'll want him to get himself in the mix, and he'll want him out there battling. McKeever gets into the car, straps himself in. Sooner or later, we're going to see that clock start ticking down.
Conor Shanahan, who's just been eliminated in the top 8 and is second in the championship, is currently aligning Tor Arne Kvyat's car to go out against his fellow countryman Dwayne McKeever in the top 4, with his brother still in the competition. Tell me you can write a script like this in any other motorsport.
I mean, I was seeing, look, Oran Nielsen in the background went out of competition yesterday, almost flipped that car on its roof. Incredible scenes. Oran Nielsen down there throwing tools around, giving him some advice, telling him what to do. We can see Maciek there, our safety scrutineer, giving them some duct tape to fix those panels on. This is pandemonium, but this is organised pandemonium. They all know what they've got to do. They want to get this car dialed. They want to see Kvyat on track. He's had nothing but bad luck for the last 2 years.
Kvyat's in the car now. He's strapped in. He's ready to go. They just have to align this car, drop that bonnet, and send him straight to the warm-up area. Time is ticking down. McKeever's getting ready in the car. The drama builds once again. We're going to have some new faces on the podium here in Sweden. It's shaking up the whole pack. The rain coming down, the edge of the track, destroying cars. Yesterday, we have a car spinning in the air, but it comes down to 3 remaining competitors. We will see James Dean go up against the loser of the battle of Kvyat and McKeever for 3rd step on the podium. But right now, both McKeever and Kvyat want to be in that final against Jack Shanahan. McKeever's ready. Is Kvyat ready?
Well, look,
we're very close, very close. Some final adjustments being done, some air pressure being done on the back of the car, making sure everything, all the wheel nuts are tight. Kvyat says, just give me a chance. Let me get out to a battle once this year where I can actually lose on track rather than in the pits. And right now, he looks confident.
Oh, he's putting the gloves are on, Dave, and you can see McKeever now in the car, a few meters ahead in that hot pit, waiting to go, waiting to get the signal to go to warm the tyres. As soon as this car is aligned and ready to rock and roll, Kvyat will be off and he will be hungry because he knows he was on the ropes, but he managed to take down Vincek. Vincek got lost in his smoke. He put Vincek on the ropes before. He knows he has it. He now has the tool to do the job. And there we go, Liam Keane. Look, Connor Shanahan's crew in there now working on that car. The bonnet gets shut. One last little final adjustment. One little tweak of the steering arm to get that alignment perfect.
And Connor Shanahan kicks away tools, suspension parts that are bent and broken. Can Kvyat slam that bonnet and go to the start line against Dwayne McKeever and start warming up those tyres? It looks like the bonnet's going down. They're very close to the clock here that they were allowed by the marshals, and he's off. Kvyat's ready. He's heading towards the start line. He's warming up those just to make sure the steering on the car is okay. He's just going to give it a couple of turns. Obviously, he's broken the steering. Not his fault, remember, that the damage was done to the car, so therefore allowed his time by the marshals to get it ready, but not all the time in the world, and he was pretty close, and the car is moving, and it looks like Kvyat, I think he's ready to go here.
Oh, he's ready to go. And I tell you what, Dave, he will be pumped with adrenaline right now. He will want this more than anything. He knows McKeever, well, he's a sturdy competitor, but he has it. Kvyat, we've seen him do some damage before. And here we go. He's going to pull up behind McKeever and say, let's go. Let's get this done. Let's do it. Let's find out who is the best of the best in Europe this weekend here in Sweden.
He gets a thumbs up from the marshal. Wow. He's going to be released into that burnout box just in time. McKeever has a look left and said, okay, you came to party. Okay. I have a competitor. Here we go.
Oh, he tips the visor down just slightly and says, we did it.
I'm ready.
We did it. I'm ready.
So both of these boys are going to warm up the cars now. This is two guys who want more than anything to take home a trophy. They've traveled the length and breadth of Europe, and McKeever's not had the best start to the year. Didn't get to compete in his own car at round one, had to borrow a car. His round two ends in the top 32 with some understeer. Here he is with a shot at getting in the final of round three. Kvyat, mechanical failures, almost had Connor Shanahan beaten Mondello, makes an error, mechanical errors over the years. Both cars ready to go, both drivers ready to go. This is what I love about this sport, ready to go. Who's going to go to meet Jack Shanahan in the final? Will it be McKeever? Will it be Kvyat? McKeever's the higher qualifier. He will lead them in.
Well, here we go. Start line marshal Marcin takes a quick look around the car, gives him a little pat on the bonnet, hypes him up a little bit more, as if Kvyat needs any more hyping. It will be Ireland versus Norway. And right now, I couldn't place any money on either one of these drivers to take this through to the final.
I'll tell you one thing, irregardless of what happens, find me a championship anywhere in the world that has the drama of Drift Masters, because we're emotional wrecks every time we have to commentate on it. Oh. Here we go, cars into gear, up to the first corner. McKeever to lead in Kvyat, and Kvyat is all over McKeever on entry.
Wow, look at this, Kvyat hungry for it, dives across the circuit, knows he can't let McKeever escape, and he's not going to let him escape. He goes for it, McKeever has a wobble, he's gripped the car up to 900. McKeever absolutely dialed, no handbrake. The Sorani Kvyat goes wide, looks for the early transition. Oh, he mistimes it. Finds himself on the inside edge of the circuit, but McKeever off that throttle, maybe an issue, maybe a wobble as McKeever goes to the wall. Kvyat not having the proximity.
You know, I'm going to be honest here and say that whatever time they had to align Kvyat's car was not enough time.
No.
So they had to put a very weird setup on the car, probably just to get it straight and get it going. But you can see McKeever does have a wobble coming through that transition. And as they come through, you can see Kvyat throws everything he has at McKeever. He's right with him. Now watch this from McKeever. As they transition, a little wobble there, gets to the outer zone, but from here, McKeever looks like he's on rails. And again, he's so fast through here, McKeever. You see, bigger angle from Kvyat, slowing him down more. And I think what happens after this hairpin is Kvyat gets lost in the smoke. Watch the smoke trail from McKeever's car all over the windscreen of Kvyat. He loses where the edge of the track is, so he has to transition really cautiously to not go off the track. He kind of goes, oh, this is where I am. But not a major mistake from Kvyat. He does get back into it by the end, but you know what? Leaves a little room for McKeever to do some damage here.
Yeah, he certainly does. Well, this one hanging in the balance at the moment for Torana Kvyat. A few little wobbles here and there from both drivers. And I would not want to judge this one. I would not want to be the man to decide who goes through to the final or goes through to the third and fourth place playoff.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Right now, McKeever is in a position where if he goes close on this whole run, he's going to the final to face Jack Shannon. And McKeever's feeling confident because he's done a great lead run. I think Kvyat's going in with a couple of wobbles on that chase. He's got to be extremely good here.
He certainly has. He's got to be more than extremely good. I think Kvyat's going to throw everything and the kitchen sink at this one. Both these guys qualifying high in the 90s. Well, McKeever was the higher qualifier, had the cleaner lead line, but Kvyat, well, he's got the anger, he's got the adrenaline pumping through the veins. The light goes green, they come off the line. McKeever starts to creep away already as Torane Kvyat now leads them in through the gears, flicks that car, absolutely clinical once again. That initiation from Kvyat been on point, and look at this from McKeever though, holds back, waits, big transition from McKeever as he absolutely glues his car to the rear bumper, but now he gets lost in the smoke. Finds himself once again, McKeever now holding back, looking for the dive up on the inside, goes for a big one, right onto the door of Torane Kvyat. As Kvyat takes him to the wall, McKeever all over him. Wow. Wow, incredible stuff. McKeever, Kvyat, look at this on the replay. Torane Kvyat on rails, that initiation pinpoint perfect once again. As McKeever gets himself shallow, very shallow. Look at this down the track, shallows up the angle so much.
This is the bravest part from McKeever. He fires in on the back quarter panel of Kvyat's car. And to be honest, that's where the proximity is most difficult on this track. McKeever in the chase position on the inside of the track here, kind of cut some steam out of it. But you know what? I think the proximity across both runs, you've got to say McKeever had it. He had the proximity.
He did, yeah.
Made some wobbles, but he had the proximity. The judges are going lead to lead, chase to chase, two very good lead runs, a little bit more proximity from McKeever on the chase. That's where I'm sitting on the fence right now. I've actually fallen a little bit one way off the fence, but I will tell you that it was a phenomenal set of runs from two gladiators of this sport.
I think Kvyat will just be happy to have been back in the mix and got that car back out to do the battle because he's gone down so many times due to mechanical failure.
Well, the results are coming in and you can see Kevin.
I don't know. Do you know, I was just thinking, do you know what we haven't seen for a while, Dave?
Kevin O'Connell's pensive face.
We haven't seen a one more time for ages. I mean, at least 2 hours. So why don't we just have a one more time? It's not like the sun's going to go down, is it, Dave?
Well, we can keep going here till September because the sun won't come back up till then or go down till then. I'm watching that again and I'm saying, yeah, a couple of wobbles from both drivers, but they want to double check it. It's for a spot in the final. Now remember, if you lose this battle, you still get a battle against James Dean, which is still very tough for third step on the podium. So neither driver will be out of competition right now. They will go forward into the next battle. But who wants to go to the final? Well, both do, but who's going? It's going to be a one more time. This sport, they both laughed and smiled as in brilliant, brilliant. We get to do more drifting. Come on, guys. I want you to be more cutthroat. Why are you so nice, humble, and amazing? Both of them delighted. And now I'm worried, Ian. Do you know why I'm worried?
I'm worried because there's water leaking out the front of Dwayne McKeever's car.
Well, that was one thing I was worried about. I'll tell you what I'm actually worried about is they've gone pretty hard on that one, and they're going to go even harder on the one more time. I'll tell you what, Kevin, our head judge, we saw some pensive faces there having a discussion. Talk us through how the old abacus went left and right to find it one more time.
Yeah, a lot of analysing there over the two runs, Dave, and it was very difficult to actually go with that decision. I suppose when you compare the two of them, both lead runs were nearly a mirror image of each other, both having fantastic lead runs. Small errors here and there, like Dwayne having a little wobble there at the end of the first corner, and Tor then having a couple of wobbles on his lead run too. But then the chases too, there was flashes of brilliance by both of them on parts of the track. Dwayne absolutely phenomenal for the final corner. Tor being better on the first corner, couple of errors, both of them washing wide of the second inner clip. You really are splitting hairs. It would have been very, very difficult in our opinion to pull a winner out of those, because you could have picked either one of them from that fantastic driving, and we just have to see him go one more time.
Well, you know what? I'm not complaining.
No, nor am I.
And you know what? I'm looking back at the replays and I'm thinking, you know what? Sometimes you can get carried away by the last section of the corner.
Yeah.
So McKeever was closer coming across the finish line. Naturally, your emotions go, oh, he's closer.
Oh, he's close, yeah.
But you forget that being close on the first corner like Kvyat was is actually more difficult.
More rewarding because of the high speed they're going. For me, it's the middle section in front of that big grandstand. McKeever, you know, he did something weird. He kind of made a weird transition, and I know that's obviously what the judges are looking for. It wasn't clean. you know, and Kvyat, again, arguably made those mistakes. But now, Kvyat can go back to the crew and say, right, we not only need a little bit of tyres and fuel, but the car, maybe we need to do this with the suspension. Just quickly, we've got 5 minutes.
Just by the way, I know the Formula 1 is on this weekend, but nobody comes into their tyre changing as cool as Torana Kvyat did. Handbrake turn in, boys change the tyres. Becky is down in the hot pits, and it's getting hot down there, Becky. You're with Tor Arne Kvyat.
Tor, that was a crazy battle with Peter. I know your emotions must be running so high right now. Your team have done an incredible job of getting your car back together. I know when you bend a steering arm, sometimes it doesn't always go back the same way. Is the car driving as good as it was?
No, definitely not driving as good as it was. I had a hard time with Dwayne, but I could keep up with him on pace, but it was hard to manage the car. But now I know about the issues, and now I just gotta try my best again.
You took my next question was, is there any change of strategy for this, or is it just to hold on, have a good time, and hopefully get the win?
Just full throttle. There's no strategy, no games. We're here for the long run, so yeah, just having fun, and my crew is killing it, fixing the car in no time, so I'm super happy.
Delighted. Well, good luck.
You know what, if you've got a local mechanic and he tells you that if you're getting some suspension alignment or maybe some suspension arm changes or some tyre changing, it'll probably take about a day to do that. These boys are knocking it out in about 2 minutes.
I want to go back to what you were saying about the old pit stopperoo there. You come in, hot on the handbrake, pulls forward, jacks up, tyres on, fuels in.
No pit stop has ever been, there's never been a cooler pit stop than this.
F1 will be contacting Kvyat's team by the end of the weekend.
They'll be saying,
you want some jobs?
They'll be saying, Max Verstappen, can you handbrake into the pit area just for a bit of style, please? Well, Kvyat's nailed that. He's got to nail another battle against Dwayne McKeever, and McKeever is putting some fresh tyres and fuel in his car, so it's going to be back to square one again.
It certainly is, and it goes back, and I think Kvyat answered that question that I was asking as well before Becky went down and did that interview, was, is there anything wrong with the car? And yeah, it isn't 110%, but now he knows those little demons. He knows how to fight them. He knows what he needs to do to get around them. So maybe now, in this one more time battle, he can go even closer because he knows how the car's going to react.
When you think about it logically, right, you're sending a guy out to go battle a metre from another car at 80 miles an hour after he's been in quite a serious accident and crashed his car 20 minutes before that, and everyone says, that's absolutely normal.
That's fine.
Just do that normal. That's fine by me.
Carry on. Have fun.
Yeah,
while you're doing it.
Have fun. Go out there in your broken car and throw it in at 80 miles an hour. Have some fun.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, have a great time.
Remember, if you're not smiling, you're doing it wrong.
What a sport. We've seen it all today. I've absolutely loved it from start to finish. Sweden has delivered. The fans have delivered. Amazing people here from all over Scandinavia coming to say hello. We've been hanging out with them all weekend. Crazy people, crazy big fans of drifting, and I think our drivers from Drift Masters have definitely rewarded them coming here by putting on an amazing show. That show is now far from over. We've got 3 more battles at minimum to go. We're going to have this one more time battle between Dwayne and Kvyat, and then we're going to see who faces Jack Shannon in the final. James Dean's sitting there going, well, sorry guys, I'd really like that 3rd place trophy if possible, so I'm going to decimate everyone.
Whoever's there on the line.
I don't really care. If it's Kvyat, McKeever, I can kind of beat them both.
Yep, I'll take them both down, just for the trophy and to stand on the podium.
And we talk about the championship order. Vjainsek goes out top 8, Shanahan Connor goes out top 8. Now all the boys in 3rd, 4th and 5th are climbing back up the leaderboard, right in time for the second half of the season. Beautiful stuff.
The halftime show in the middle of the season will be pretty special.
Everyone's the same score. The first 3 rounds might not have happened because we're back to square one again, which is the great thing. It keeps it competitive. Kvyat now, I love his whole, my car isn't handling very well, but now I know it's not, I'll be able to drive it.
Yep.
The confidence. Here comes McKeever, he's back out, fresh tyres on, ready to go to battle. And again, I think they've learned a lot from that first battle. We're going to see a much tighter, much closer one here.
Yeah, we certainly are. So there we go, McKeever out of the hot pits, down he comes to the back end of the circuit here to warm up the tyres in the tyre warming area, and I take a quick cheeky look over my shoulder and I can see him appearing into that area. He's going to pull alongside Kvyat, and well, I just don't even know now.
How do you predict this?
Yeah,
though?
I just don't know.
Because you would have weighed in the favour of McKeever before that battle, thinking, well, his car is working better and he wasn't in a big crash and all that. Kvyat gets it one more time.
Yeah.
Now Kvyat's got more confidence. He's learned more about his car, what he's got to drive around. He's a tough competitor to come up against. I think we just throw the dice here. And I mean, the great thing is we don't need to know what's going on. We don't need to make a decision. We just get to sit back and watch 2 of the best in the business put on a show. I might add that how ridiculous is the level of driving in Europe right now when it comes to drifting, because I'm just going to go out there on a limb and say best in the world right now. The level of the tracks are so challenging, they're so unnatural, so different. Every track has its own little nuances that makes it so, you know, none of the tracks that we run, any of them for the whole year, are even in any way similar.
No, none of them.
So you're really testing the drivers here because there's so much variety on circuit, so much they have to adapt to, and the machines they're running now are over, you know, 700, 800, 900 horsepower, fully gripped up. These are drag cars with extra lock kits, basically, and they are making it look so easy.
Well, here we go. Time to find out who's got what it takes.
Plug out my emotions for a while, because I'm going to be a mess at the end of this, because there's going to be so much hysteria over who wins this, because both of these guys have wanted that final position so badly for the last 2.5. I think he's shaking his head saying, here we go again.
I think he's a little nervous. I think he thought he might have had Kvyat in that first battle. And
famous words from Dwayne McKeever. Pressure is for tires.
That's for tires. Yeah, well, that is one of Dwayne McKeever's favourite words. And our safety marshal down there just taking a quick look over the cars to make sure we are all okay to run.
Kvyat has taken a run in from Finland here at the start line to try and stay with McKeever. Let's see how it goes. McKeever slams the car into gear, and away we go. It's for a spot in the final. McKeever to lead in Kvyat, firing into that first corner. Kvyat, early initiation, right with McKeever.
Yeah, look at this now. They know each other, they know the styles, they know the tricks. And look at this, McKeever absolutely dialed, but Kvyat closer than McKeever was before. Look at this from Toron and Kvyat. Oh, puts himself into a spin, going too hard. And McKeever drives away and takes 1 foot, places it safely into the final battles.
He's hit him in. He's hit him, I think. There's contact there. I think either he's stomped on the brakes or he's hit McKeever. The drone will be the tail of the tape, but I think he went in a little too hot, a little too greedy in the chase position. I think he's made contact there. We'll be able to see here very quickly. Phenomenal stuff through the first corner. Kvyat takes the inside line, gets really close to McKeever, and the transition here was death-defying at over 80 miles an hour. Watch this. Really close to McKeever as they come through now. Watch this. He doesn't decelerate. He comes in really hot. Watch the front of his car. He does. He tags him. You can see the steering wheel move. He tags the rear wheel of McKeever's car. Upsets the steering as if it wasn't
already upset enough. Yeah.
It was crying. That suspension was like, what do you want from me? You've hit everything. And all of a sudden he hits another car, and you can see him sawing at the steering wheel. It was all she wrote.
Well.
10 out of 10 for trying. I'll give him that, because he definitely didn't back down. But at this moment, he'll be looking at McKeever going, no. Oh, harsh.
Yeah, look at that. You could just see. I don't think he's done any damage. He's drove the car off circuit, and I can see him down the back straight and across the back of the paddock, doing the, you know, the little wiggle of the steering wheel, testing out, seeing if it's all right.
Yeah, McKeever wants to get this done now. He wants to finish this. It's like Mortal Kombat. Finish him.
Finish him, yeah.
Because he's got a big advantage. He's got, you know, all he's got to do is make a clean pass to the circuit here, McKeever, in the chase position. He's going to the final against Jack Shannon.
But hold on a minute. You're saying this like it's just any other regular drift championship.
Sorry, I
this
forgot.
is Drift Masters.
That's my mistake again.
In a minute, McKeever's car is going to grow wings and take off.
Something crazy is going to happen.
One more
and
time.
Moose will come out on the track or something. It's Drift Masters. Anything can happen.
Yeah, calm down. You have to wait until it's done for it to be done.
Yeah, that's why we don't allow any betting on drifting, because everyone will be broke.
Oh, yeah.
So, McKeever now sits in the chase. Again, just has to get it past the circuit here. It sounds like an easy proposition. It isn't here.
Nope. Nothing's easy here at the Drift Masters European Championship. Well, the car sliding to gear. We get the green light. Now, McKeever, all he has to do is chase down Toron and Kvyat, but Kvyat is going to go for absolute broke here. He's going to want to force McKeever into a situation, into a spin, off circuit. Anything is what he's going to be looking for, but McKeever is not messing around. McKeever wants to get the job done. He wants to face Shanahan in the final. They come down in front of the grandstand. Kvyat goes for it. Oh, McKeever goes for a cheeky little transition, tags the door, takes the bumper off, and seals the deal.
Somebody needs to go have a word with Dwayne McKeever and tell him to calm down, because that was ridiculous. He touched the back of the car, took the bumper off and said, I don't even need to be here. I've already won the battle, but just for the fans watching at home, I'm just going to remind you all of how good I am.
Do you know what? I think I heard him shout across to Kvyat as they crossed the line. Who are you to me?
That's what he said. He's like, you know what? Enjoy that third place battle with James Dean. Yeah. I'll see you later at the podium.
Yeah, I'll see you. Maybe I'll see you on the podium.
Yeah, maybe.
You can watch me on the podium.
Yeah, because I'm there anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to be there, whatever happens.
They're absolutely not saying this. This is complete fabrication from me and Ian, but we like to make it interesting. Kvyat also missing some zones in that lead position. To be honest, not the cleanest of lead runs, but this transition, take a moment. Ha! Cable ties snap. Wow. So does my heartstrings as Dwayne McKeever goes across the finish line and I think puts himself into the final of round 3 of the Drift Masters European Championship. Phenomenal driving.
Phenomenal, phenomenal.
I heard a woo from Kevin O'Connell as they came across the finish line. You don't get a woo out of Kevin O'Connell.
Something's happened up there in the
Ric Flair. You don't get a woo that easy from Kevin O'Connell. Here we go for a spot in the final. And there you have it. Dwayne McKeever goes through to the final to take on Jack Shanahan. Kvyat, but his team are exhausted. They better get back up again because they're going to put another set of tires on that car. He is going up against James Deane in the 3rd and 4th place playoff. Dwayne McKeever says, did I touch him? I think I touched him. And he has to put his car back together now because he's going to the final against Jack Shanahan. 2 guys who, to be honest, grew the Irish drift scene with their rivalry over the last 5 to 8 years. Well, they're going on the biggest stage of them all now, Drift Masters against each other. And both teams who are pitting next door in pit lane will be looking across going, oh, it was all fun and games until now. And we kind of want to win this one.
Funny because Jack Shanahan's had a few gearbox issues this weekend. A couple of problems, and he's had the gearbox in and out of the car a few times. Do you know who helped him?
I have a feeling you're going to tell me.
Dwayne McKeever.
Oh, well, you'll regret that.
Helped him fix the gearbox.
Wait, these guys, did you not know, did you know how to win?
Glutton for their own punishment.
Yeah, stop fixing.
Could have just looked at him and gone, oh, looks like a serious problem you got there.
Wahahaha.
Oh, maybe I'll see you on track.
Let's fix all my friends' cars so they can beat me later on. What sort of a tactic is this? Well, let's have a look at where we are right now. Because I'm ready for this. It's going to be Tor Arne Kvyat against James Deane, and Tor Arne Kvyat's had a rough old day at the office, but James Deane wants to get back on that podium like he was at round 1. Deane's looking strong going into this one against Kvyat. 3rd step on the podium up for grabs, and then it's the final. Jack Shanahan against Dwayne McKeever. Well, we've seen that battle so many times in Ireland. We've seen it a couple of times in Europe, but this might be the highest profile time these 2 guys have met in the history of their careers. We're about to watch it all unfold in the next couple of minutes. Fresh tires and fuel being prepared, and I was about to say the sun setting here in Sweden, but that would be a lie. It doesn't set. Yeah, it doesn't set for another 3 months, I think. So we can go here all night or day or whatever they call it here. But it's amazing. The weather comes good right for the finals. We had a little bit of rain earlier on. It chopped up our top 32. James Deane is ready. He's got the car ready. He's all smiles. Look at the smile on his face. He's ready to go here. Well, Becky is down with James Deane. He's all smiles, Becky. He must be looking forward to this one. He's going up against Kvyat, and these guys get on very well behind the scenes, but there is a 3rd step on the podium up for grabs here. How's he feeling?
James Deane, obviously this has been a big day for you. I know you've had some car troubles, but it feels great to get yourself back up there and potentially get a spot on the podium. Sorry, you've got Tor Arne Kvyat next. That's a big opponent. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. It's been a challenging day for me personally, just trying to get used to the car on this track and just get in the groove. But I was feeling better and better as the fair play to Dwayne. As the day was going on, I felt like we had a great battle with Conor Shanahan and then his brother Jack. I just tried to push a little harder and we got understeer while trying to catch Jack. Coming into the slower section, and I just lost the front end, so I kind of threw it away myself. But hopefully we can push hard here now, put on a good show for everyone that's watching, and see what happens. But Tor is driving amazing as well, always is. I think it's going to be a good battle.
It must be incredible to see the level of driving just creeping up and up and up every single year. This year, do you feel like it's the best it's ever been?
Yeah, so we were just chatting before the top 8 started, just all of us drivers chilling on the wall, myself and the Shanahans and Dwayne and Juha, and we're like, whoa, what a top 8. Like, nobody had an easy battle. As you can see watching on track, the action is unreal. People are pushing hard, taking risks like never before, and that's what you have to do. Sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. Didn't work for us today, but I really enjoyed trying my best.
Thank you so much, James, and good luck for your next battle.
Thank you.
Well, there he is. James Deane's heading on to this 3rd and 4th. Do you know what I love about that, and I really deciphered from that, is that I would have, and I mean, if you've watched drifting for a very long time, which we have, you know, and a lot of times it can be quite formulaic. It can be the best drivers. Sometimes they'll win an event without pushing 100%, just by being consistent, just by staying on the track and getting the zones. What James Dean is alluding to there is that even the machines of the sport, like James Dean, are now making errors because they have to take risks and be uncomfortable on track because their competition is so high. And that means that nobody's having an easy run of this, and none of the battles are so predictable. And we've been enjoying it all year, and we've been sitting here, you know, it's great because the pendulum swings one way or the other, you don't know who's going to win. And that's what the fans want, that's what we want. But from a driver's perspective, it must give a lot of hope to the drivers coming through the ranks that these drivers, who they've idolized for years, are struggling with the level also because it's risen so high. And when people like James Dean, who have won everything, are sort of, you know, really pushing to an uncomfortable area to try and get third step on the podium or through a top 4, or through a top 8, all the way back to 32. This means we are watching the best in the business right now go up against each other. And it doesn't mean that any drivers got better or worse. They've just all got so much better together. And we are sitting back watching, I think, the peak of this motorsport.
Is it the peak? I think there's more to go.
If there's any more to go, I retire because I cannot handle this. But right now, it doesn't matter what the future holds. It's all about the present. It's all about the 3rd and 4th place playoff. Let's get to it. Here we are in a beautiful, sunny Fall Fours in Sweden. It's round 3 of the Drift Masters European Championship, and it has been the emotional and physical roller coaster that all the rounds have been. The fans, the shade has now, you know, sun's dropped behind the grandstand. They're feeling a little bit cooler. But two people that are not feeling so cool right now and get a little hot under the collar are Tor Arne Kvia from Norway and James Dean from Ireland. Third step on the podium up for grabs between both of these drivers. And in any other day, you would say James Dean goes in here with all the accolades, all the trophies, all the wins behind him. He should be very confident. But from his interview, as he said, the look of the Irish isn't always on his side this year because everybody else has got so good. Kvia, he's had so many mechanical issues, so many heartbreak moments, so many drives home from the event with the head down in the van and thinking it'll be better next time. If he beats James Dean here today and Peter Wiancek and gets third step on the podium, he might just retire tonight at the bar.
Well, I can tell you one thing. Kvia and his crew will definitely be at the bar after this event tonight because those guys have deserved a beer, and so has every single driver on the grid today, because they have pushed the level of Drift Masters this year to a place where I don't think anyone thought it could go. The whole level of the championship has raised tenfold once again. We brought them to a brand new circuit in the middle of Sweden, and we said, here's a new one for you, let's try this one. Unfazed, these guys brought the show. They brought the skill, the talent, the teams, they brought everything to it, and we have been blessed with unbeatable, incredible battles.
Well, you're sitting here and you're watching the most competitive drift series in the history of the sport, with the best drivers in the history of the sport going head to head and making each other feel uncomfortable and pushing each other off and through the track. And it's incredible to watch. I mean, for me as a fan, and I thought I'd seen it all in the sport. I thought you'd watched every type of battle, every outcome. I sit here just like everyone at home, watching these two competitors come to the line, having no idea what's about to happen next.
No. And right now, I'm looking at these two guys on the screen. I have no idea what is about to happen.
But all we got to do is sit back and watch, just like you guys. James Dean, he will be the higher qualifier to take the lead. Kvia says his suspension is not 100%, but he's going to drive 120% to get around it. He's going to go into the chase position. He says to the camera, ha, nothing to lose here. I've had a hell of a day. He's going to put it into gear. He's going to try and get the run on James Dean into this first corner. We know Kvia's car has the pace to stay with Dean, but sometimes Kvia's gone too aggressive. He loses out against Dwayne McKeever. Can he undo those mistakes? Look at Kvia on an entry.
Oh my God, look at this from Kvia. He's not messing around. He wants to get a taste of champagne off the podium. He's matching the angle, he's matching the pace, he matches the transitions. He looks down the side of that teal and blue S14 as he sees James Dean come around. He transitions early once again. Dean drops a wheel off the edge of the circuit as Kvia bursts through the smoke, looking for the side of James Dean's S14, and he says, buddy, I'm right here.
Wow. Tor Arne Kvia just took one of the best drivers in the world right to the wire. I noticed Dean dropped the wheel. I noticed Kvia missed his zone. That's about all I saw from that, other than incredible driving. Watch this on entry. Kvia, so risky to be this close at this speed. Dean on that casual, big angle style. But Kvyat's right there. Watch the transition, how close. The drone has to slow up, take a turn, and see Kvyat's car almost graze the back bumper of James Dean's car. Now watch this. Dean goes wide, Kvyat goes a little shorter to try and get that proximity. He's allowed to do that, Kvyat, to get the proximity. However, he doesn't get as much as he would like. Now watch this on the transition. Dean does drop off the track. That concrete laid last night, that is off the track. So watch, he's going to drop one wheel off the circuit here, lift the front of the car, but it's James Dean. He manages it, he transitions, and then boom, through the smoke comes Kvyat saying, not over yet, buddy. Right up onto the door, forcing the issue. Look at that shot. Two of the best in the biz going across the line.
Wow. Just when you thought you'd seen it all.
Well, we definitely haven't. I mean, we know nothing about it.
We know.
I don't even know why they hire us to do this job, because every time we think it's going to go one way, we are proven wrong, thankfully. But,
do you know what I like?
Do you know what I love? James Dean, when it has to be really close, because he's very good at that.
Yeah.
And we're going to see that in a minute. And then we're going to
say.
It's like he has to go super close now. And then he's so entertaining to watch when he does it.
Yep.
And you know what Kvyat's going to do? Go really fast in the lead position.
Yep.
That's what I like watching as well. So we're going to see all that now.
Well, they've both been on the radio to the spotters, and Mikey, James's spotter, will be saying, you need to put the wheel on the door. And Kvyat's spotter will be saying, go as fast as the car will physically go.
We want you to go so fast,
so
end up in
fast.
1984 with flames coming behind
100%.
the car. Yeah, and then James Dean's spotter's going to say, well, if you could just get into the passenger seat of his car halfway through the run, I think the judges would love that.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Exchange mobile phone numbers while twin battling down the track.
Here we go. James Dean in the chase position, Kvyat in the lead. Half of the battle done. Some errors on both sides. Kvyat puts in an awesome chase. Can Dean get onto the back bumper of Kvyat's car? Here we go.
Well, look at this. A nice initiation for Kvyat. Starts to pull a gap on Dean already. Dean now, look at this. Dials on the angle. Kvyat, a little wobble in the outside zone. Finds it back again, though. Gets himself in and on the line. And Dean not as close as we'd like to see him. Now he starts to dial it in. And Dean, did he shortcut the circuit? Maybe another wobble there on the transition. Dean through the smoke. Onto the door, onto the front wheel as Kvyat goes deep. Dean all over the side of him.
What was that transition? He has no right to pull that off.
Should be illegal.
Should be illegal. We'll have a look at that. I think Kevin O'Connell needs to look at that. Should be illegal to do dives like that.
We'll get the security.
Too frightening. I put it in the rule book. He does lose ground. Loses
Look at this. Loses a
lot
lot of ground, Dave. Look at this. The pace. Look at Kvyat. He pulls away from Dean.
He does. And he's shortcutting the track. Now, this is where I think Dean makes the biggest error. He comes very shallow here.
Watch this. Watch this.
Transitions. Not a lot of angle.
So shallow.
But this transition, look at this.
He's like,
whoa,
come on. Wow.
That is just silly.
Do you know what? I think James Dean got to that point on the circuit and was like...
Oh, that was frustration.
He was like, well, I'll just go for this.
I think he threw the car at him going...
You know when you're a kid and you get the ump and you're like, throw your toy? That was James Dean with the car. He's like, just threw it at him and was like, yeah, I have it.
I don't know how he got away with that.
He's like, how is your car so fast?
Oh, well, we got a decision to be made. It's for third step on the podium. Will it be Dean? Will it be Kvyat? And taking third step is Tor Arne Kvyat. He has taken a trophy at the highest level of European drifting, and the emotions pour from Tor Arne Kvyat after some of the toughest results in the history of the sport. This man stayed in it, stayed consistent, believed, and it's paid off. Third step on the podium, and the whole world knows who he is. I'll tell you one thing, Dean threw everything he had at him, but it was just to be for Kvyat today. He just wouldn't say no to any of those runs, and I've got to say, from my perspective, he's been so consistent the whole way through the competition, and when the car works and he works, he's a joy to watch.
I think we just discovered the return of Tor Arne Kvyat. We see it in 2018, we see him there, he burst onto the world stage. He said it's been a long, hard struggle. It took him a lot of time, a lot of investment, and a lot of hardship to get back to being on this level with these guys. And he said, this year's the year, I feel confident, I have the package, I have the crew. He said, I just need that podium to seal the deal, you know, roll it all up like the pizza dough, put it all together and make the dough combine, and this is it. I think Kvyat has finally arrived back where he needs to be.
And you know what I love about James Dean? Even though he's lost the battle, he's not taking home a trophy. He's putting on a donut and some you know, for the fans. He's waving to the fans. He's a real ambassador for the sport. And Kvyat, I think it was just meant to be today. It was just in the stars for him. All the hardship he's gone through for the last couple of years, it means everything. Now, that's sorted out. Don't go anywhere, because we have got the last two runs of the day. Jack Shanahan against Dwayne McKeever. Two men who have represented the sport in Ireland right across the world will go head-to-head on the biggest stage of them all. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the final. Well, we can talk all we want, but this is what this means to both of these drivers, Jack Shanahan and Dwayne McKeever. They haven't taken home any trophies this year. A lot of people were saying to them, you know, you're having a tough time, you're struggling. You can see the body language of both drivers in the pits, wondering, doubting themselves, do I still have it? Has the level got too high? Am I not at the races? Well, now they are in the final. Two of the fastest drivers on the track, qualifying first and qualifying second. 99 points in qualifying for Shannon, 98 points for McKeever. They've bossed this track. They want that top step on the podium, and it is going to be 2 runs to decide these two gladiators. From the north of Ireland, Dwayne McKeever will represent the north. From the south of Ireland, Jack Shanahan will represent the south. But both guys will have the Irish flag flying high as they head into this final battle in Sweden. It's round 3. They've cooled the cars down, they've warmed the tires. These guys know each other's driving styles inside out. They have battled against each other more than any other competitor in their career. But this time, it's for all the marbles. It's for top step in the championship, and it's for a fight at the overall championship. Sweden has thrown up all the surprises, all the drama, the thrills and spills, and the upsets. But now, is it going to throw up a winner? Here we go. Shanahan to lead in McKeever.
Oh, look at this. Shanahan, wow, look at the speed. He's not messing around. Absolutely fires in, and he catches McKeever off guard. McKeever is shocked with the pace of Shanahan. Shanahan has turned it up, but he's off the zones. Shanahan struggling down the bottom end of the circuit. Now McKeever sees him wounded as Shanahan backs off the throttle, gets back into it, but McKeever's there as Shanahan tries to evade McKeever, but McKeever's back in the fight.
Oh, that's even Stevens. I thought, just like we all did, that Shanahan had left McKeever for dead, but he gripped the car up too much and he couldn't make it to the outer zone. He messed up his lead line halfway through and allowed McKeever back into the battle, and McKeever took advantage of that and got up on the door.
Well, now take a look back at this. Look at the pace from Jack Shanahan as he fired through. McKeever was mind blown. Look at that 4-5 car lengths pulled. But look at this, as you say, Dave, transitions just cannot make it out to the outside zone. The pace, he finds himself way early. Look, wheels off circuit on the inside of the track. Is that 2 wheels off track? Has Jack Shanahan just handed McKeever a 10-0 advantage in the final?
Oh, I don't know, Ian, anymore about anything. I'll tell you one thing, though. They were pushing way beyond their comfort level there. You could see Shanahan was firing into corners at speeds he's never run all weekend. McKeever, I think he thought he lost it in the first half, and then all of a sudden there was an opportunity. I wouldn't hold my breath here. The second half of this run might just swing it one way or the other. Well, I think we're 1 moment, 1/2 second away from an off here, of someone going off the track, or it all being over in an instant. You cannot predict this one.
No, you certainly can't. You certainly can't. And we await the arrival of Jack Shanahan to the line. McKeever pulls up. Well, maybe he thought he was out of that one, but I'm pretty sure that I see a massive mistake from Jack Shanahan in that lead position. What Shanahan got here, he needs to put the chase of a life on. But is it already too late, Dave?
Well, this is it. It's all down to this run. McKeever will be in the lead position, Shanahan in the chase. It's for top step on the podium. Shannon's given himself a big run in here. He's got the faster car, I believe, but can he control it? Can he keep it moving? He's missed zones. He's made errors in his lead run. McKeever's got to keep it clean here. Shanahan will have to go close. He cannot let McKeever pull car lengths on him here. Both doors closed, lights on and lights off for the final. McKeever and Shanahan go through the gears for what may be the final run of the day. And Shanahan is losing a little ground to McKeever on the entry as he tries to climb on the inside. He does a good job here, Shanahan, of staying close. Right up onto the door goes Jack Shanahan. Contact between both cars in the final, but they stay in it. McKeever goes to the edge of the track. Shanahan goes with him. Now this tricky transition, Shanahan almost takes the back end off McKeever's car as they fire into the last corner. Where is Jack Shanahan? He's on the door. He's right on the door of McKeever as they come across the line. What a finale!
Well,
there's nothing more you can say.
I have literally run out of words.
Adjectives, nouns, something, something. What more do you want from
things
drifting
and stuff.
than runs like that? That is phenomenal. That is breathtaking. That's dangerous.
That was a incredible, unbelievable chase run from Jack Shanahan. Look at this. Is that the closest we've seen anyone?
He was so close, I thought they made contact, but he was perfect. Now watch this as they come through the center section of the track. Shanahan's lost in the smoke here, but the transition, I didn't know where Shanahan was. I thought he had lost it, but look at this dive from Shanahan. He goes over the curb and fires down the inside of Dwayne McKeever, taking it up onto the front wheel as they come across the line. I could not call this one. You couldn't pay me any amount of money in the world to call this one. I have no idea which way the judges are going to swing. Like, Shanahan's got the better chase run here, we got to admit it, but McKeever has the better lead run.
But did Shanahan drop 2 wheels on the inside in front of the judging, literally in front of the judging tower on that second inner zone on the lead? It looked like the 2 front wheels were off the track. The judges said in the briefing, the white lines, the tarmac is the track. You exceed that, 1 wheel, points deducted. 2 wheels, it's a 0.
Well, don't ask me.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm asking the wrong person. Yeah, asking the complete wrong person.
And the people who make that decision are having a big old debate, because I can hear it from here.
Look how close they are on the transition.
Oh, this is... Look at this. That's bananas, is what that is. Look at the 2 of them going, I can't believe we're that close.
Fun.
Yeah, that was
good.
Yeah, just casual, you know.
Just chilling out.
They have no idea. We have no idea. Hopefully the judges have some idea. As far as I'm concerned, there was errors on both sides. There was amazing proximity on both sides. There was some major, like, heart-in-mouth transitions on both runs. Either way this goes, nobody left anything to chance. Everything was put on the track there. These guys can happily go home and say that was everything I had, Ian.
There's literally no more they can do. Literally no more. Judges are split. They are absolutely split. You can see the concentration. They're having a big discussion. They have their own intercom set, headsets, microphones. They can talk to each other without any other noise in the room, no other influences. They can only hear each other, the 3 judges. They are pulling this apart. I think they're going to go back to this section that I said, where I think he had 2 wheels off the track. And I do believe it was a different camera angle. And I think this is what it comes down to. I think they're arguing it. Watch this.
I don't think so.
I think from a different camera angle, you'd be very swayed, Dave. Swayed.
I'm not sure. I don't think so. Of course, Jack and Dwayne using the International Drivers Code of hands left and right to indicate where they were driving on the track. I don't know. It's very hard to decide this one. Judges are having a good deliberation on it. It looks like we have a decision. Who is going to take the win at round 3 in Sweden? Nobody is, because it's going to be a 1 more time. It's a 1 more time. There's no way we can go back at this again. Kevin O'Connell, are you trying to give me a heart attack down there with those boys? 1 more time?
Dave, I'm pulling my own hair out here and I'm going to have a heart attack after that. That was absolutely incredible. And look, we did not make this decision lightly at all. 2 very, very different runs and 2 very difficult runs to compare, actually. You see Jack's lead run was phenomenal to start and he was really pulling an advantage. But then you see at Outer Zone 4, he completely comes offline, drops a wheel on the inside of that that second corner there. And as soon as he does that, he's offline and Dwayne then starts to reel him in then for the second half of the run. So overall, I think that Dwayne had a disadvantage for the first run, but he was able to pull it back to relatively even, if not even a slight advantage to Dwayne overall. Then you switch him around. Dwayne had a very, very good lead line. Okay, yes, he did have that wheel drop, which I heard you guys talking about, but it was a small deduction. Overall, I think Dwayne had the better lead run. I think we could all agree with that. But then you compare the chase runs. Jack, absolutely phenomenal in that chase position. He really threw caution to the wind, was phenomenal the whole way throughout, except for 1 small error where I think he over-rotated a little bit coming towards between the final transition between 7 and 8, had a very slight wheel drop on the inside of the curb there, but overall really he had fantastic proximity the whole way throughout. So if you really dissect it down, I think Dwayne won the lead, Jack won the chase, and we would be absolutely splitting hairs here if we were to decide this final on those kind of small little errors. We have to see him go 1 more time.
Well, thanks, Kev. And yeah, I think Dave's just having a 5-minute rest here because I don't think his heart or voice or mind can even cope with what's going on this weekend here in Sweden. I'm just about holding it together here. Not sure if I'm going to be still in one piece by the end of the next battle.
Sorry, and I was just contacting my solicitor to see if I can sue Kevin O'Connell for trauma.
Oh, yeah. I thought that you'd powered down in the corner somewhere.
There's not much more left here now.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been to the edge of the mountain here quite a few times of battles today, and we have one more to go. A one more time battle between Jack Shanahan and Dwayne McKeever. Couldn't be split in the one more time, and what more can we? I mean, the dives we've watched today, that James Dean dive, by the way, on Torrey Cavia, will haunt me in my sleep of just how he got away with that. And then you go and look at the emotional roller coaster of Torrey Cavia all the way from the start of the season with all his problems. Eventually, you could see him drop to the ground in emotion when he got to third place on the podium. But now, McKeever and Shanahan, two drivers who are looking for a return to the top step of the podium, because both of these guys have done it in the past. And I mean, look at this transition from Jack Shanahan. He's no right to get away with this stuff, and they did get away with it, and they got it one more time. And how much closer can they go? How much more extreme can they go? How much more can they push it?
I don't know. I don't know. Don't even know.
Well,
till there's just.
I mean, are we getting closer and closer to the edge here of what's possible?
Yeah, I think we are. I think we're pushing these guys now to a point where one of them's going to end up off the track because they are going to, you know what guys are like. They're just going to keep pushing each other. And Dwayne's probably saying to Jack, I'm going to let another 5 psi out my tyres. Well, I'm going to let a few more clicks out my rear shocks. I'm going to go a little bit faster. Yeah. They're competitive, super competitive.
Two of the most competitive guys on the grid, I'll give you that.
And I think they're going to go even faster now than what they did earlier and closer now than what they did earlier.
I think this might be one of my favourite Drift Masters rounds of all time. I'm going to put it out there.
Whoa.
I've had a lot of emotion here, and we're only halfway through the season.
Big statement. We're only halfway through the season, and I want to elaborate on something on that. After today, we would have had a different winner at every single event. Just put that into perspective.
Haven't thought about it, but you're dead right. You're not often right, Ian.
Vincek, Shanahan, Connor, and this one, well, undecided for a moment, but could be McKeever or Jack Shanahan, who have yet to step on a podium this season.
Not only will one of them not have been on a podium, but their first podium will be a win. So big moves halfway through the season. Big moves. And we go from here to 3 of the craziest, crazier venues. You think Ireland was good? You think Austria was pretty fast? You think this track was crazy? Well, where do we go from here? Well, we go to Riga. That track shouldn't even be legal. It's that fast, big walls, crazy party, no runoff. Frighteningly fast.
Yep.
Then we go to, we'll one up that again. What about an abandoned mine in the middle of an island in Germany? Should we go there and put some drift cars in it? That seems like a sensible decision. And then we say, you know what? See that stadium in Poland? What if we just tarmac that whole stadium, put all 20,000 people in there, and let these boys fight it out for the championship? What's happened to drifting?
It's become a show. That's what it's become. And there you go. If you're sitting at home saying, well, this is madness, this championship, and I want to go and see if it's really that mad in real life, well, there are the dates. 29th and 30th of July, we go to Riga, baby. It is Latvia, the craziest event on the calendar. 19th and 20th of August, we go to Ferropolis in Germany. As Dave says, we go under the lights at a disused mine. And then for the final event, 30th of September. 1st of October, the Motor Arena in Lodz in Poland, where we tarmac a whole stadium. We throw in some pyro, some smoke, and 60 of the craziest drivers from Europe. Oh, okay. No, don't name drop. No, and why would you?
Well, we wouldn't, that's for sure.
You'd be mentally unhinged to try it.
And these guys are so casual sitting in the car going, you know what, another run would be nice.
Oh, yeah, let's keep doing it. Let's keep going, and let's keep going. Well, here we go. Dwayne McKeever down the back of the circuit in that tyre warming area, which has seen plenty of action.
Absolutely, and after this, also on top of all of the madness, we are going to go to the podium, which is down, you know, at the party area, the party tent here in, and there's going to be one other party later on, I'll tell you that, Ian. That's why another reason you should come to a Drift Masters event is the parties.
We do the party.
But the podium will be down there, so the guys will get the results on the track, and then we'll head to the podium, and you know what, there's going to be a lot of emotion on that podium, I can tell you that from here on in.
Yep.
A lot of guys, and everybody on the podium has had a very tough year so far. So it's going to be emotional. It's going to be some tears down there, I'm going to promise you.
You going to cry, Dave?
I've been crying halfway through the top 16.
I didn't want to say anything, but you've been crying since we started.
Yeah. Well, you know. I'm a fan of the sport, and all I ever wanted for drifting was this.
Yes.
The best in the world, going head-to-head on crazy tracks to the point that you don't even know how to explain it anymore, to the point that professional drivers are afraid to even come to this championship because these guys are so on another level. And McKeever and Shanahan go back at it again. What more can they do? Well, we asked the question, and I'm sure they're going to answer it again, because there is nowhere more to go for me on this. There's no more speed than what Shanahan's putting into that corner. There's no more proximity than that last corner for both of them. But we're about to find out. Jack Shanahan slots it into gear. It is the one more time for top step on the podium. It's Jack Shanahan to lead in Dwayne McKeever. Here we go.
Oh, look at McKeever. It's closer than he was before, but it's a big mistake. Almost over-rotates. The front of the car washed wide. Now needs to get himself back into it. Shanahan down the hill as McKeever gets himself back up onto the rear bumper of that GT86 Flames erupting from Shanahan's car as they transition across the circuit. McKeever gets himself into the zone, up onto the pocket as Shanahan goes to the wall.
Well, McKeever threw the kitchen sink at Shanahan on entry, but I'm not sure it worked out absolutely perfectly, because I'll tell you what, that's the uncomfortable place where McKeever was there. Threw it in, not sure what was going to happen, got a little caught in the smoke, and kind of almost went off the track. Watch this, gets too close, hits the front brake, has to back out on angle, and gives, look at the average speed from Jack Shanahan.
Wow.
100 kilometers an hour. That's an average speed, folks. Imagine that is a slow last corner. Let me just put that in perspective. That is a slow last corner. That's the average speed. I'm not even sure how Jack Shannon's staying on the track that, and he's hitting all the zones as well.
I mean, he is the first place qualifier, 99-point run. He's going to nail those outside zones. Look at this from Shanahan, but McKeever, big wobble in that first corner, but he got himself back into the fight, and he would have known he needed to get himself back up onto the door. Shanahan looks rock steady, Dave.
I'll put it this way. This is it for Jack Shanahan. He's got to go for it now. He's got to go for it. McKeever's done a good job here. He made an error on the first corner, but he gets the proximity for the rest of the run. He's still got, you know, a big hand in this fight, but Shanahan will have to go for it here. It's like James Dean said in his interview, sometimes the risks work out, sometimes they don't. There is no more consistent runs. There is no more safe runs in drifting and Drift Masters anymore. You've got to be uncomfortable to win the battle. McKeever took the risk, it didn't pay off on entry. Now Shanahan's got to take the risk and hope it goes his way. He's going to go for it here, straight from the off. He's taking a bigger run in than anyone's taken in the whole competition behind McKeever here. Jack Shanahan has got to go close to McKeever here if he wants to win this event outright, if he wants to turn his fortunes around in the championship, if he wants to prove to the rest of the grid that he is that damn good, he's got to go for McKeever here.
Well, here we go. The lights illuminate. We look for that green one. It's gone green. McKeever through the start line. Shanahan on the bumper. Here we go. Big initiation. Shanahan goes for the front wheel, dips out of it, dabs the foot brake. Now works his way up onto the side of the S13. Dangerous transition as Shanahan glues it to the side of McKeever's S13. Absolutely dialed through the smoke comes Jack Shanahan. He is not letting McKeever get away. One more big dive up onto the side. Can he nose it closer? Of course he can. He rubs him across the line.
Oh my God. What was that? Jack Shanahan just threw everything at him on the last corner. The crowd cannot believe what they're watching here. We presume you guys at home are feeling like we are right now, that this is beyond madness right now. Through the first corner, Shanahan goes closer than McKeever. It's the transition here. He takes a risk. He doesn't know where McKeever is going to transition, and all of a sudden, watch, goes straight through the smoke, back up onto the door again. Now, McKeever's on the perfect lead line, allows Shanahan into the pocket. He stays there for the rest of the run. McKeever's flying through that section though, and as they transition back, Shanahan dives through the smoke as they go to that outer zone. Now Shanahan holds back a minute. He tenses up the arrow and then fires the bow as he goes up onto the door. And look at this, pushes onto McKeever's front wheel and just pile drives him across the finish line.
Look at this from the drone. Hi, buddy.
But is there a decision? Is there a winner? McKeever, Shanahan. One will take top step, one will take second place. Both trophies so well deserved, but only room for one winner. I'm out of breath, I'm out of energy. I'm sure those boys on the track are the same, but who's going to win it? Who's going to take the win? It's Jack Shanahan. Jack Shanahan takes the win for round 3 of the Drift Masters European Championship. He cannot believe it. Both drivers overcome in emotion. A standing ovation in the grandstand for this incredible show. And Jack Shanahan, he thought he'd absolutely smashed McKeever across the finish line, but McKeever stayed in it. McKeever's back in business, second place on the podium for him, and a first step on the podium for Jack Shanahan. We're heading to that podium now, which is at the party tent, aptly here in Sweden. All the cars will be brought there, all the drivers will be brought there for the trophy and prize giving. But we have witnessed something history in the making here tonight, and it is tonight, but it's daytime. Becky is on track with Jack Shanahan. What an emotional day for him. He's just won it, Becky.